What up, folks? Once again, it is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. This one might be a bit of a shock. We're going to discuss something that, folks have joked around with this. You certainly hear it anytime anytime someone is elected that others do not like. Many flirt with the thought that they're going, they'll make statements like they're going to leave the United States. Now, there were hints that Whoopi Goldberg of The View stated that if Trump won again, she would lead the country and things like that. And Whoopi Goldberg did clear it up on The View and said that's not true. But we've all heard of folks threatening to leave the United States if their candidate of choice won the election. Novocaine, yeah! Thank you for the head mustache. You started out right. Got your boy feeling good. Thank you. Now, make no mistake about it. The overwhelming majority of folks who suggest if their candidate of choice loses the election, they're going to flee the damn country, they're lying. Overwhelming majority of the folks who say that are not going to follow through. And that would include anybody suggesting that if Trump wins, they're going to leave the country. But because this person is in the news, I want to bring it to you, not necessarily with concern of the individual, but I want to find out from you folks how concerned you may be. Stormy Daniels, her husband, just yesterday stated that if President Trump is acquitted, he and his wife, being Stormy, will leave the country. Now, many folks are going to say, good, get your ass out, fair enough. But what I want to ask you folks, not having any concern of Stormy Daniels and her husband, but rather the mindset is what we're going to discuss. We're not going to be talking about Stormy Daniels and her husband unless it comes up in another conversation. I like that Heart Bake says host has lost. I'm not even debating with anyone yet, and Heartbake has already given me the L. Yikes. Sounds like my experience in divorce court. But let me ask you folks this. Because Stormy Daniels' husband suggesting that if Trump is acquitted, they're going to leave the country. The question or the topic we're going to have today is, do you have a fear of either Biden or Trump if they are reelected? Do you fear America in its direction if one of these folks are elected? Now, DJ Julio, yeah! And I want to ask you, thank you, DJ. Thank you for that head mustache. What I want to ask you folks is, what do you fear? What are your biggest fears? Now, in regards to Trump, because we're leading in with Stormy Daniels said her husband's going to leave. Now, we know Stormy Daniels wore a bulletproof vest to go testify against Trump last week. She actually showed up in New York wearing a bulletproof vest. So what I'm going to be primarily talking about on this show is there a legitimate reason to fear Trump? And when I say fear, we're not talking about a bad economy or, Christianity or the liberal left taking over the country. We're talking about deaths. We're talking about oppression. Is there a legitimate reason to fear President Trump getting reelected? Now, before we go into the comment section, we will point out a few things that have been said that many are suggesting it might spark the fear. And you can take them apart when you come in the box or in the comment section. You know we don't block, ban, or censor anyone on this program. So you don't have to agree with anyone in the comment section, and you certainly do not have to agree with the host, yours truly. It's all about free speech here. Nevertheless, these are actual quotes mostly that Trump has said, and why some would suggest they may have a fear for him, and you can tear these apart when you're in the box or in the comment section. Dictator on day one. We know that he said that. Many folks believe it was taken out of context. Whatever the case may be, he did talk about being a dictator on day one on Sean Hannity's show. Number two, he's going to have the largest deportation in U.S. history. Think there's any chance anybody could lose their lives in that? Any type of violence that could take place? Largest deportation in U.S. history. Think it'll go smoothly. Next, he stated that it is up to the states, DJ Julio, once again, thank you for that support with the hat and mustache. The tracking of pregnant women. Trump was asked, is it possible that states could track women who are pregnant to decide whether or not they want to prosecute them? And Trump said, yeah, that could happen, but you have to check with the individual states, indicating he would not have a problem with it. So we're in addition to dictator on day one, largest deportation in U.S. history, he is not opposed to states tracking women. And we know in North Carolina, a politician talked about women qualifying for the death penalty if they have an abortion. So if you leave it up to the states, some states will get quite radical. Also, talked about giving the police immunity. This is an actual quote again with President Trump, stating that the police need to have their powers back and he would give them immunity. Some suggested once again, it's taken out of context, very similar to a dictator on day one. We'll talk about it. Nevertheless, he did say it. He did say giving the police immunity. Next, he also talked about, or better yet, used the phrase, because we know during the summer of 2020, hello, a lot of folks upset about what happened to George Floyd on television. They had their own anger towards that. They were looting all over the country. President Trump stated, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. He did tweet that out. So once again, if there are uprisings in the future, perhaps under Trump's watch, he's indicated he might be okay if you're in there taking televisions out of a Best Buy somewhere, might be acceptable to take your life via firearm. He also talked about suspending the Constitution. Once again, something folks would suggest was taken out of context, but he did say it. He did say it. Next, obviously, we'll talk about January 6th for the simple fact is somebody did lose their life on January 6th. It's not a speculation. Somebody actually did lose their life. The one and only Ashley Babbitt. And regardless of how you feel about January 6th, Nancy Pelosi allegedly required to provide the National Guard, she didn't, or Ray Epps sparking it off, or the feds doing it, or Black Lives Matter, or whatever your opinion is on January 6th, it's in the list because January 6th does not happen without President Trump extending the invitation to all involved. That was hosted by President Trump. Even if it was meant to be a party for Mr. Rogers and all the kids got out of hand, Mr. Rogers invited them there. So it is on the list. Last but not least, this one is speculative, but even Trump himself has hinted at its possibility. A full-blown civil war. So we're asking that in regards to these topics we discussed, do you believe there's a legitimate reason to fear a re-election of President Trump, or is all this bullshit? Is all this the liberals taking it too far, taking Trump out of context, trying to destroy the guy, prevent him from being reelected? That is what we're going to discuss today. You know, as always, the program shall forever be MAGA friendly. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We go left of Bernie Sanders to him having dinner with QAnon. We allow everyone to speak free of censorship. So looking in the comments, Trump has zero chance. I think that is woefully inaccurate. Trump has a hell of a lot better than a zero chance. I would say it's damn near 50% or higher at this point. If you ask the polls, could be lower, but it ain't zero. It's nowhere near zero. No, of course not. Trump has always wanted to attack Canada. Okay, fair enough. Let me go to the box. Guys getting crazy now. Trump wanted to attack Canada. Starting it out, certainly appreciate the support on the program. DJ Julio, good afternoon. Welcome. Am I freezing? DJ Julio, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Is there any reason to be fearful of President Trump?
If you are living a moral life, you have nothing to fear.
Explain
nothing
that.
Nothing to fear.
Explain that.
Because he's not after anybody that's doing well in life. He's not after anybody that's trying to do good in life. He's not after anybody. To be honest with you, he's after the people in the swamp, and we're slowly starting to see that swamp open up and the people that the creatures coming and crawling out of it.
So let's tackle a couple of these. Giving police immunity. You think that if police had immunity, you think law-abiding citizens would have nothing to worry about?
Well, I mean, the immunity case is only going to go as far as soon as it's anything that happens with the police. It's going to have to go through internal affairs. It's going to still have to go through that part of it.
How do you know?
Through that part of it.
How do you know?
Because that's policy of the police.
Yeah, but
that's police policy.
If you have immunity, they don't have a right to take you to internal affairs. You're already being given immunity for this.
Yeah, but I don't think I personally don't think because I saw this on one of your other lives where it was brought up briefly, and I talked to my mother-in-law who was a captain until she retired, and my father-in-law who's been involved in the law enforcement, all his life. And he said even if he does give them immunity, there's things that are stipulated inside the police community that he can't really do that. He could say that, listen, you're not going to have to worry about it until it goes all the way through internal affairs. If they shoot somebody, that's still going to have to be proven justifiable. But Julio, it doesn't have to be shooting anybody. It could be anything from warrantless searches, like what George W. Bush did with the Patriot Act. You can give them a lot of other reasons or a lot of other methods to abuse your freedom without having to take your life. They could, but I don't think police are going that direction. I think our police are starting to wake up and understand that they're there to serve and protect, and they don't have any right outside of that.
Why are they waking up? That was quick. Okay, on YouTube, folks, I don't know what just happened, but the live got taken down for a quick second. I'll appeal it because we didn't say anything worthy of that. Stand by for my YouTube folks. I don't want to say stand back and stand by. That's a whole different conversation, but hang on a second, folks. We'll move it over to the backup page while the appeal is going through. That made no sense at all. That really made no sense at all that the live went down on TikTok, but we'll switch it over to, let me see what they dinged it as. Misinformation. Somebody reported that. Okay, we'll go back. I'm assuming that the appeal will be won in a quick second, but we'll switch it over while they're doing their thing on that to the backup profile. So give me a quick second here so we can just switch the live over. Crazy. That is really crazy. That had to be someone, because I always talk about folks who ban and censor being on the left side of the aisle, but that would have clearly not been somebody on the left. That would have been the program. Yeah, that was crazy. But let me see if I can move it over. Let's see what happens here. All right, we'll start it up in 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. We're in the backup, so I'll wait till the folks filter in on TikTok, and while then we'll look at the YouTube side. That's what happens when DJ Dirtbag comes up. Alter ego. Be nice to the guests. DJ Julio supports the program. Be nice to the guests. Quit reporting on Tim, you snowflakes. Thank you. Took too many laps. Took too many laps, huh? Yes, and for many reasons that we do not like him are also many reasons Trump would not make a good president. That is why we fired him. Okay, DJ Julio, let's try it again. My last guest, we were talking. Looks like they have switched over to the backup page. I don't know what happened. My guess is somebody hating on the program. I don't know, whatever. But there was nothing said. I mean, the program was just underway. So we'll give it a minute. The box is already acting up on TikTok. This may be a difficult program. Wrong dude, Bill Duke was in Predator. Bill Duke's like almost 80 years old. Damn, do I look that bad? Frankie Norbert Steiner. I like Bill Duke, though. Very accomplished actor, but damn, you're comparing me to Bill Duke? He's about 80 years old. Julio is always talking crazy, though. I like talking to Julio. We're having some serious problem with the box. We'll give it a second. Otherwise, we may not be able to take guests. I'm trying to bring up guests, but the way they got things going on here. So we'll give it a second. For you folks asking what happened, I don't know. I don't know. They took down the live. Somebody must have been not liking the laundry list of things we were about to go through, and that's what happened. So we're trying to bring back the guests. Let's try it again with Pat Carlson. I don't know what happened with DJ Julio. We'll try it with Pat Carlson. Otherwise, there has to be some kind of issue. Carlson, are you there? Pat Carlson, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, I'm doing pretty. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Hello?
Loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Hey, thank you for having me on again today. I got some food for thought for you. You know, whether you like or dislike Trump, one thing you've got to say, Trump has ensured himself in history, not only American history, but world history. I don't care where you go in this world, you mention his name and everybody's going to know him.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but I don't know if it's all because it's good. I mean, Stalin.
Oh, I didn't say that it was because it's good.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got some things for, food for thought. All right, first of all, a list of things that he is a first of. First, he is the first president that I know of anyhow that was not in politics before he became president.
Well, George Washington. Well, the founding fathers were that way.
You're going way back then.
Okay.
But
right.
anyhow, then since presidents started giving their tax returns, he is the first one to refuse to give his tax returns.
Yeah.
Then he is the first president that I know of, and I'm 63 years old. He is the first president that I know of that has acted more like a kindergartner with name calling of people that he doesn't like. If he doesn't like you, he's going to come up with a name for you and start calling you a name.
Well, let me counter. I'll let you continue, but I got to inject something. Fancy Prancy talks about, what about him being the first president to donate his salary?
The first president that what?
Donate his salary.
That's because he's basically stealing it in the long run. It's like he diverted Air Force planes to a place to fuel up that was by his hotel, so that they had to use his hotel, so that he made money that way. So the idea that he gave up his salary, that's irrelevant. But that is a first.
Okay.
But then, to go down, continue on the list, he is the first president that said, he sit there and says, oh, I hire all the best people to work for me, but yet all of these best people that he's had working for him has either been charged and or convicted of crimes, people that he now calls low-life scum and everything else, but they're the best people.
Okay, I disagree with you on some of that. Now, when Trump promised to surround himself with the best and brightest, I actually think to a degree he kept his promise, but it looked so problematic because he wasn't actually trying to surround himself with the best and brightest. He was trying to surround himself with the most loyal. And because some of those folks were not loyal, they became assholes to him.
But that's why he called them the best, is because he thought they were so loyal.
Yeah.
Then he's the first president that I know of that thought he could make a new trajectory of a hurricane with a Sharpie.
But wait a minute, I have to throw another one in there. Gen Xer on YouTube rightfully points out he is the first president to step on North Korean soil, and it wasn't a war. It was in terms of peace. Do you give him any credit for reaching out to an adversary and trying a different route than what we have been trying?
I kind of give him some accolade over that, but that kind of fits in another category that I'm going to hit on. He's also the first a peaceful transfer of power.
Yeah.
He's also the first president ever convicted of SA.
That's not true.
He's also
That's not true. He was convicted of. Wait, hold on. He was found liable for defamation. The courts believe he did.
No. He was found guilty of sexual SA, not of rape, but of SA. There is, I didn't say he was found guilty. She accused him of raping her.
He lost. Wait, hold on. He lost in court to E. Jean Carroll for defamation. They believe that he did violate her, but that was a civil case. You're not found guilty in a civil.
It's still in a civil case. The judge, and if you look at the court transcripts, the judge clearly said that he was guilty of SA.
Yeah. Okay.
That is what the judge said.
But you do understand the difference between being liable and guilty, right?
Right. Well, they couldn't charge him because the statute of limitations.
Right.
That's why they're all right. He is the first president that I know of that has been 2-time impeached. He's the first president to be 4-time indicted. The first president for 90+ felony counts against him. The first president to ever be criminally charged and be brought up before a court and jury. He has made himself a name that I think is equivalent, maybe even more so than Hitler, Lecter, or even Charles Manson.
Wait a minute. You're putting Trump above Hitler and Hannibal Lecter, the fictional cannibal? Okay, Carlson, you got a bad signal. We got to move it on. Appreciate you coming through. Carson is a subscriber to the program, so we always want to show our subscribers some love, but his signal went out. Wow. Above Hitler and Hannibal Lecter. Tell us how you really feel. Damn, you think Trump is that bad? So that's what we're asking, folks. And by the way, we are on the backup page, so I'm going to be pleading with you folks on TikTok in particular. Tap the screen. We need to get the likes way up to help bring some of that audience over here because they took the program down for unknown reasons. I did file an appeal, but I didn't want to wait the typical 5 or 10 minutes to see if I won the appeal. My guess is that it has been victorious, but I'm going to go ahead and continue the live here as opposed to going over there, checking, resetting. I mean, we were just going through the monologue and beginning the first conversation, and all of a sudden they took it down. So my guess is there was probably somebody, you know how the program works, haters. And because of the topic, I'm going to assume they were on the right, not on the left where I normally suggest that the censors come from. Anyhow, we're asking, is there a legitimate reason to fear President Trump getting reelected, simply based on some of the things he has actually said, or is it all bullshit taken out of context and it's liberals trying to ruin Trump's campaign? Look it in the comments. First president to make a batshit crazy Speaker of the House tear up a State of the Union address. That is true. Nancy Pelosi behind President Trump tearing up the State of the Union address. Remember her clapping at Trump? Clapping down at him. Interesting. That did happen. Like Gen Xer, and thank you for that support on YouTube, Gen X. Like Gen Xer is saying, and my last guest was saying, Trump has made history. Whether you favor and love Trump or you hate and despise the man, he has made history. He will be discussed for a long, long time. Long after Trump is gone, he will be discussed. He has made history. BS, just like the left claiming he was going to start World War III, says in Gabriel Coleman. True. That is true. The left is going to paint a picture of Armageddon, just like the right suggested when Obama got elected. He was going to raise gas. Steven, yeah! Thank you for the hat and mustache. I do appreciate that. When Obama got elected, He was going to raise the price of fuel to $5, take everybody's guns away, and turn us into socialist Greece. At the time, Venezuela, Hugo Chavez was still alive. Venezuela was doing okay at the time. It was Greece that was going kaput. So they were saying that Obama was going to turn us into socialist Greece. That is Armageddon politics. Like you're pointing out, they're suggesting that that Trump is going to start World War III. So it does happen. Looking in the comments, I love him. He wants to clean up the swamp. Cindy, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that President Trump wants to clean up the swamp. But it's the difference between what you want and what you actually can do. I mean, he only has a max of 4 years left. We know in the first 4 years, he didn't come close to cleaning up the swamp. Is it possible that this time he could get a whole bunch more done than last time? And he suggests that, well, Trump couldn't get anything done because they didn't give him a chance from day one. They were constantly investigating him. They wouldn't leave him alone. Do you really think that's not going to happen if he gets reelected again? So if the suggestion is he can't really do shit if everybody's coming at him, well, we're just going to see another version of that. You think they're going to let him operate smoothly this time? He hasn't changed, so they're not going to change. Looking in the box, thank you folks that are tapping the screen. We'll continue moving on with MAGA Man 4547. MAGA Man, love it. Good afternoon, MAGA Man.
What's going on?
Not much. We're talking about Stormy Daniels' husband suggesting that if Trump is acquitted in this Alvin Bragg case, they're going to lead the United States. So what I'm asking is there any legitimate reason to fear President Trump getting reelected?
Yeah, I wish they were, I wish it was as scary as your last guest made him out to be. You know, I wish he was as, or like, you know, like,
did he lie about anything? You said he's making him out to be scary, but was he lying about anything?
I wish he was like, there was a tangible reason to fear him that much and be that scared. Like, I mean, I guess if you're like a criminal or an illegal immigrant, it's probably a concern, but.
Well, let me tackle some of them. He stated he was going to be a dictator on day one. Is there any reason at all for any citizen to be concerned with a politician saying they're going to be a dictator on day one?
No, I don't see an issue with that.
Okay. What about him stating that he would give the police immunity? Is there any reason for any citizen to be concerned about a politician promising to give the police immunity?
No, I'm probably for that because, you know, I'm not like a bootlicker of the police. Like, I think they're like assholes and shit. But like, for the most part, I think once it sways to the point where like the thugs have like more power and privileges than the cops, like that's like an issue, and like the criminals.
How do you give me an example of how the criminals have more powers than police?
A good example was that like illegal immigrant dude like beat the shit out of the cops in New York City and then like flipped off the press and then was able to run away.
So what do you think you're saying the police have less powers than him? What do you? I don't understand how that translates. What about the criminals gives them more power than police?
All right, here's a good one. Let's say hypothetically you're in the process of an arrest and you overdose on fentanyl. Hypothetically, and and then the cop goes to jail for 28 years for murdering you because you overdosed on fentanyl in the process of an arrest in the state of Minnesota. Hypothetically.
Wait. You're overdosing on fentanyl while you're being arrested, and the cop goes to jail for 28 years. What is the reason the cop gets 28 years?
Well, they claimed he murdered him.
Did he give him fentanyl?
No, not at all.
Where are you getting this from? How did the cop murder the guy? If he didn't give him fentanyl, how did the murder?
They claim he like choked him or something.
Is there any record of him choking him? Is there any record of him being on the person's throat, hands around the neck, anything?
You know, hypothetically, the guy, it was in 2020. He was a large black guy. And the cop's name was Derek Chauvin. Mm-hmm. Hypothetically.
Okay, so your statement that he overdosed on fentanyl Is there any record or evidence that suggests that's true? Where are you getting that from?
Yeah, the autopsy.
Okay. So there is no autopsy that says he died of asphyxiation.
I believe there's conflicting reports on that.
So what are you just picking the one that favors what you believe that is fentanyl?
Well, he was saying I couldn't breathe before he was on the ground, you know? Like,
is that normally, I mean, we got a lot of people in this country, because fentanyl is a major problem. We got a lot of people who lose their lives overdosing on fentanyl. Is that the traditional, or is that the typical way they die overdosing on fentanyl, is by saying they can't breathe? Is that how most of them overdose?
I don't know. Okay. I don't think so.
Okay, so where you're adamant that he passed away from fentanyl, but you're admitting that
overdose, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you're admitting that the ones who overdose on fentanyl don't normally go yelling, "I can't breathe."
Yeah, but it's different. He was like all hyped up, and I think the process of the arrest was the reason that he died.
You said it was fentanyl.
Well, yeah, it was like an unfortunate situation where, like, you're high on drugs and then you're in the process of an arrest and, like, you get all amped up and then, you know, you die. Like, I think that's what happened.
Okay, so you're saying you think that's what happened.
That's not your average fentanyl death. Usually it's just like some kid in his mom's basement.
Yeah, but there's no autopsy backing up what you're saying at this point. You're kind of just saying you think this.
No. There's multiple autopsies done on that.
Okay. And you're picking the one that fits the narrative you believe, or?
But the one that makes sense to me, like he was saying he couldn't breathe before he was on the ground.
But you've admitted already yourself personally that people who routinely overdose on fentanyl don't go out yelling they can't breathe. So I don't see how you're tying that to this. You already admitted that ain't normally how it happens.
Well, yeah, you're not normally also resisting and like you're sitting down, you know.
Okay. So
I think the unfortunate events that occurred after or during his arrest probably led to the overdose.
Any idea? Okay,
or he could have taken a large amount to hide from the police. That's a very plausible.
Well, let me ask you this: if the police stumble, okay, let me ask you this:
all right there, you know,
if the police stumble upon a suspect that is overdosing, what do they normally do?
Normally,
yeah,
you would call the EMS, which is what they did. I mean.
Okay, so the 8 to 9 minutes on the guy's neck, is that part of police procedure?
I don't know. I'm not a cop, but
bro, you're giving opinions. I'm just asking you. Is that normal though? 8 to 9 minutes on a person's neck?
I wouldn't prefer that. You know, I'd say more on the back would be preferred.
Is it possible 8 to 9 minutes on somebody's neck could harm them?
Maybe, but I also saw in the court case that
maybe.
Chief process.
It's possible it might not harm them. Is what you're saying? It's possible you could sit on somebody's neck for 8 to 9 minutes and not harm them.
Yeah, because in the court testimony, the chief said that it was more on a 45 across the shoulder blades. You know.
Okay, but the chief also said what he did was not part of his training at all. You're making it sound like Chauvin did nothing wrong. Even if you're going to use the chief said what he did was wrong.
I think it was bad optics, you know.
No, that's not what you mentioned. The chief. You used the chief. You didn't mention optics. You brought it up the chief. The chief said what he did was not part of their training and it was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's unfortunate that he went to jail for 28 years because the guy overdosed. Like, okay. I'm not saying he did a perfect job.
Okay. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. An autopsy was done that disputes what you're saying. It is what it is. But you mentioned, before I move it on, that the police have less powers than the criminals. I don't know if you've made your case on that.
Well, I mean, you know, you just kind of, you look at the way things goes. A lot of these cops, they're kind of like scared to touch black people now because a lot of these, like, you'll end up in jail for 28 years.
Well, did you look at Derek Chauvin and walk away thinking that he was scared to touch black people? Is that the way you looked at that?
Not him, but every other cop in America think twice about pulling their gun on a black guy opposed to a white guy. Like, let's say you're a police officer, you're much preferred to blow away like a white guy, like, because the media's not gonna be on your back. President Biden doesn't give a fuck. But,
well,
a black guy, you're in trouble.
Any idea?
Especially if it looks bad on the body cam.
Well, let's go into that. Any idea? Because after all, whites have phones like you and I. They got cameras in there. Any idea why they don't present a lot of footage of white guys getting shot or mistreated by police? I mean, they all have phones.
No, it's not like it doesn't exist. It's just like no one cares about it. Like after the George Floyd thing, there was 10 videos of the same thing happening to white kids. No one just gives a fuck. Like they just don't care.
But when you say they don't care, who are they?
Oh, jeez. I'm talking about like the national news apparatus, the presidential administration, the people who are pushing these social campaigns.
Yeah, but you do understand in 2024, you don't need the national news to get your point out. We know what's going on in Gaza right now, and they don't even allow reporters in there. You and I can, if you are abused, you got access to Twitter, you got access to YouTube, Facebook. You can get your message out. If there are white folks being abused by the cops, you don't get to use the mainstream media as an excuse in today's world. You got a hell of a lot of other places to get your information out. Why are those videos not out there?
I mean, they're out there. You can find them. It's just like they catch traction. People like the Republicans play whataboutism. They're like, oh, what about this? Or like, what if he was black or whatever? It gets 100 million views in total on maybe Twitter, and that's about it.
I see.
Die out. Like, you remember that black guy who just indiscriminately shot that little white boy in the head for like walking on his lawn? Like, imagine.
Yeah, and it got played. And it got played over and over and over again. Just like if someone wants to take a woman off a bottle of syrup. If there were white guys getting shot by police, there are a lot of outlets that would actually play that. The idea that the entire mainstream media, which I would assume includes Fox News, OAN, and Newsmax as well, they're all choosing not to show it, makes no sense. We know what folks if an athlete can take a knee and that's getting covered every damn where, but you can murder someone and it doesn't because they're white, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess you don't see white people getting shot by the police a lot, but like when it happens, no one really gives a fuck.
That sounds more accurate. It's not happening that much. That sounds far more accurate. I gotta move it on, MAGA, man. You know it's always good to talk to you. We don't agree on shit, but come on back anytime.
Yeah.
All right. All right, looking in the comments. Yeah, exactly. That's what happens. That's why I'm racist, says Jordan Mills. Hey, man, you got $25 I can borrow, says Jordan Della Rosa. I don't even have $25 donated to the chat, so the answer is no. There are many that think the legs of Floyd. Thank you, DJ Julio. We'll make that happen in a minute. There are many that think the legs of Floyd weird and it could have been a CPR dummy. Really? Because there are people that think the legs of George Floyd look weird and that actually Derek Chauvin could have been laying on top of a CPR dummy. And Derek Chauvin never brought that up in court. And they performed an autopsy on a dummy. There is video footage of the paramedics asking Derek Chauvin to get off the guy. Nobody brought up it might be a dummy. God, that's hilarious. All right, here we go back to the box. Wow. All right, we'll go back to DJ Julio. Let's see if it works this time. CPR dummy. Wow, if it's a CPR dummy, maybe we could have saved George Floyd's life if the police had actually tried to give him CPR instead of just sitting on his damn neck. DJ Julio, good afternoon.
Well, how you doing?
I don't even know after that last call. So,
I don't like to talk bad about anybody. You know that, but my goodness, I was really hoping that he was going to come. I'm sure a lot of people feel that way about me too, but I was hoping he was coming with a real damn point.
Yeah. Well, listen, what he was coming with were counterpoints. There's people who believe what he's saying. So a whole lot of people who believe that George Floyd died of something else other than that knee on his neck.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a phone call there. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I don't disagree that that there was some contributing factors to that man, that's a sad situation. It was the cop, he contributed for sure. He played a part. He played a part in George Floyd leaving this earth, and so did the choices George Floyd made. Unfortunately.
Yeah, here's my take on it. At the time the paramedics showed up and George Floyd was unconscious, it doesn't matter what George Floyd did up to the point of being arrested. If the police had not been on his neck, he would not have been unconscious at that point. He may have died later. We can talk about that, but he would not have been unconscious at that point.
Nope, I'll agree with that. That's why I said, I'm not taking anything away from what the cop did. The cop didn't do his job correctly 100%.
Okay. So you do believe he should be in prison?
I don't know about prison, but he should definitely be off the force and maybe serve some jail time. I don't think it was an intentional murder. I don't think it was common sense police either. I don't think he knew what the hell to do or how to do his job. I mean, we could go up the chain on that one and say his sergeant, the one that trained him, those guys were in.
But Julio, they all testified that they didn't train them to do that stuff.
Yeah, no, and that's why. I mean, you're right, 100%. You're right. I'm not even gonna try to defend that.
Okay.
He definitely played a part. He made a choice, and now he's sitting.
What choice? Let me get your on it. What choice do you believe George Floyd made that played a part in his own death?
Well, the drugs are for one. Resisting would be two. I'm a person of color. I get pulled over, my hands are on my wheel. I got my shit ready. It's sitting on the dash. I've had guns pointed at me by cops. I don't like it. I'm not going to do it. So if I'm stopped.
Well, let me interrupt and say this. I don't know if there's any evidence to suggest he died from drugs at all. So let me say that first part. Him resisting did not help him out at all. I'll agree with you. Resisting arrest can lead to police murdering you. That absolutely can happen. I'm not saying it's right or legal, but we all know if you resist arrest, there is a chance that you might have the wrong cop that might murder you. That does happen.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I don't know the specifics because I didn't read the actual stuff, but I did read it online that he did have drugs in the system, and but that doesn't. But I wish that George Floyd didn't die in that process. The whole situation sucks.
Well, I'll say this, and I'm not gonna wish for anybody to lose their life, but I will say that even though he lost his life, we obviously took a really bad cop off the street. If George Floyd had survived, who knows how many other people this guy would have been out there violating. He might have not been killing them. He could have been violating his civil rights, beating people. I mean, he actually died, and it benefited the people of Minneapolis. Taking that guy off the street is a benefit to that area.
Agreed.
Yeah. So we'll go with that.
And that's why I said that. I don't know what the correct jail sentence is. I'm not a litigator. I'm not a judge. I agree that he didn't need to be on the force no more. For sure. 9 minutes. 9 minutes on a guy that's not even moving. It was way too long. I'm with you on that. The cop was his shit cop.
But you're saying you're not for sure he should get prison. 9 minutes to the point where the paramedics had to ask him.
I didn't say that, Tim.
Okay, what are you saying? What are you saying?
I didn't say that he didn't deserve prison. I just said, and I get the guy in the comment, life for a life. I just don't know that a life sentence was the right decision for fucking up on the job.
What would you agree with? Well, wait a minute. 9 minutes on an unconscious guy is more. That's more than fucking up.
If it was my brother, my son, my uncle, my dad, you're right. I'm capable of seeing the other side, and I'm capable of changing my mind, and I will agree. Yeah, life for a life.
Okay. So what if you have no relation to either one, but you're on the jury and it was up to you? You had anything from 0 to life. What would you feel would be legit?
My family is no more important than your family, Tim. So again,
why are they calling me so damn much? Go ahead.
You and the guy guy in the comments, you've done a good job of opening my mind and changing my mind on that. A life for a life still.
Okay, so you do think a life sentence is justified?
Yeah. I mean, now.
All right.
Now I do.
That's how it works. That's why we have conversation. All right. Well, if we can change one, we can change them all. So let me ask you this. In regards to President Trump, is there any legitimate reason to fear him getting reelected?
No. Like I said when we first started your first live, I don't think there's anything to fear about him. He's trying to give cops the ability to do their job and not fear, like the one guy was saying, he did make a point that, cops are afraid to make stops. Cops are afraid to, approach people the way that they need to save their life, to protect their life.
Stand down. Yeehaw. Thank you for the hat and mustache. So when you say the cops are afraid to approach folks, you do realize giving the cops immunity probably would have helped Derek Chauvin out significantly.
Yeah.
You think that's a good idea?
That's a hard one, Tim. That's a hard one, Tim.
So let me ask it to you this way. Let me ask it to you this way. Is there a reason for Derek Chauvin's family, the people he have left behind, is there a reason for them to be fearful of President Trump getting reelected because he's offering cops immunity?
No.
Knowing that what happened to their loved one would have been excused if Trump had given them immunity.
I don't think that it would have been excused. I don't think that immunity case is gonna ever end up just straight wiping the blackboard clean for the cops. I don't think that'll ever be a situation.
So you think that Trump is lying or overpromising?
No. I think he wants to give them immunity, but it's gonna have stipulations on it.
How do you know, though?
That's what I was telling you on that first live.
But how do you? I mean, but you're speculating. He said immunity. He didn't say nothing about limited or partial. Or he said immunity. How do you know?
Because the cops also have to go by what the Constitution says, and that's what I was telling you in that first live. Is my family was involved their entire life with law enforcement. So after one of those lives where we touched on it for just a second, maybe last week. I went to my in-laws and I had a conversation with them because we have dinner at their house on Sundays. And I asked them what they thought about it. And they said, even if he does give them immunity, cops are sworn under the same oath. They have to defend and uphold the Constitution.
Well, let me interrupt you because you've mentioned upholding the Constitution a couple times. Wow, thank you for that, fellow TikToker. I think that was thank you. In regards to you saying they have to uphold the Constitution, you do realize, because I got a laundry list of things that folks are concerned with. One of the things he said was also about suspending the Constitution.
See, I've heard that. I have not read that. I've heard people talk about it, but I've not heard it or seen it. Okay. So maybe you'll have to send me a link to that so I can get a little more educated.
Okay, because he also talked about after the Mandalay Bay shooting as well, taking guns away without giving due process. So he also talked about that as well. This is what I'm saying. We can say that Trump gets taken out of context. Maybe he does. But he has said a lot of very interesting things. I mean, this is stuff that he's really said.
He's contradicted himself a couple of different times, but I think when you're a businessman stepping into the political world, you're going to do that. You're going to make mistakes. I mean, he didn't become a billionaire by doing it all right every time. He had to learn different processes in order to get himself there. Quit trying to steal my badge.
Captain, thank you. Thank you, Captain. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. Do you believe during a riot, if someone is taking TVs out of a Best Buy or something, it's okay to murder them?
I don't think that's murder. I think that's defending property. If someone comes to your house and you defend it, that's not murder. That's defending it. Okay. I agree that looting is the most absolute chicken shit. It's how are you gonna fuck with somebody else's business because you're having a bad day?
So let me ask you then, because there's a lot of these mob robberies happening all over places like Chicago and things where you see a bunch of kids run into a department store and they're grabbing everything in sight. You're okay with shooting them all?
Drop them.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I mean, Tim, I'm saying if I'm your neighbor and I see somebody walking out of the house with your TV, I'm going to give them a chance to put that TV down. They don't put that TV down, they're getting shot.
So you're going to walk into a Target or a Best Buy, and it literally looks like a mass killing took place, and you're going to be taking the clothes out of these corpses. Hey, you really think that's a good? You would be okay with doing that?
Tim, let me ask you this one question. You're not going to do it anyway because you're a good man. But let's put a bad hat on. Let's play devil's advocate real quick. If you are one that thinks criminally and you're like, man, all these people and all these cops are over here. They're stopping these riots from these guys. Let's go over here and let's bust into this TV shop and let's take all their shit. If you know that you have a chance of getting shot doing that, losing your life for a TV, are you going to steal that TV?
Listen, Julio, do you realize how many people get wrongfully charged with shoplifting?
You got to, Tim, I always answer your questions the best I can. You got to answer that question for me. Are you going to steal a TV knowing that there's a chance you're going to get shot?
No.
If you're a criminal?
No.
No, you're not.
No.
No, you're not. You're not going to break into my house if you know there's a chance of getting shot.
Well, I don't agree with that, because we know in America there's 45% of Americans own guns, and burglaries are happening everywhere. So the idea that nobody's going to break in your house if there's a chance of getting shot, people shoot cops, and everybody knows a cop has a gun. Having a gun doesn't stop that.
No, but it's going to slow it down a little bit. And what you said there, with the burglaries happening, it's because people don't know that you have a right to protect your life. People don't know that you have a Second Amendment right to hold a gun. People don't know that if someone comes in your house, you don't shoot him in the leg, you end them.
So you're okay with... I'm just, listen, this is where the left in me comes out. I definitely despise anybody that would riot and loot, but I mean, I see some of those riots and protests. So everybody coming out of the Capitol building with Nancy Pelosi's podium. I mean, they were taking their pictures. You would have shot them all.
Well, if that's what it took, yeah.
Well, so I assume that Ashley Babbitt was a justifiable shoot to you.
Not to me. Not when I say this, I don't know that whole situation with Ashley Babbitt, and I don't trust what's being said about that.
It's on video, Julio. It's on video. The folks are cowering behind a law enforcement guy. There's a window that has been broken out. They don't put furniture up against the window because they don't want, and they're going to climb through over the furniture. And he fired through the hole they were trying to get through. What else do you want him to do?
That's what he should have done.
So it was a justifiable shoot.
You're right. Yeah, I just needed you to bring me back to it. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Some strong opinions here, man. I got to move it on, though, Julio. I can talk to you all day as usual, but I do got other folks holding on.
You know I have strong opinions. My kids are raised that way. My kids don't break the law because they don't worry about the cops. They're worried about dad.
If you get a cop's immunity, they may think your kids broke the law when they didn't. Cops are humans. They make mistakes, Julio.
Yeah. And my kids are smart enough to know that the hands go up.
That doesn't matter. If the cop got immunity, it doesn't matter. Maybe they just don't like their kids.
That's not going to give cops, they're not going to get out there and be like, woo, now we're going to go arrest and shoot everybody up. That's not what's going to happen with that. That's not what's going to happen with any of these things Donald Trump said, whether it's the dictator for a day.
Okay.
I mean, it's just not going to happen. If we want to fear it and we want to fearmonger it, we sure can, but it's not going to happen. Reality is, America needs to understand that there are consequences. You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes.
All right, fair enough. Appreciate you coming through, Julio, as usual. Thank you. All right, moving the program on. Listen, I believe that if you're running for president, left or right, what you say matter. I know a lot of folks believe that. Thank you, Julio. Yeah. A lot of folks don't believe that taking Trump at face value is what you should do. Pay attention to what he does, not what he says. I'll take you at face value. If you say you're going to do this, I believe you're going to do that, and I don't add any whipped cream to it. I take it straight. If you say you're going to get a cop's immunity, I don't assume, well, maybe not in this case, or you didn't say any of that, I don't add any of that. He said he's going to get a cop's immunity. That is all he said. Any other additive is speculation, which is why me and my last caller disagree. But nevertheless, that's what happens here. By the way, before I go into the next guest, tap the screen. Get your boy on it to about 40,000. It helps out the algorithm. Hopefully we can finagle the numbers a little bit, because we're on the side. We're on a backup page. So do implore you folks to tap the screen. If you do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any concern of the host blocking, banning, or censoring you, you are in the right place. We do believe in free speech, absolute Can't control the TikTok gods, but other than that, you're not going to get blocked, banned, or censored for anything you say here because we do believe in free speech. Moving the program on, we'll go to Captain Eritrea. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. We'll get a clarification on that. Captain, good afternoon. How do you pronounce that other part?
Eritrea, that's the country I was born in.
Okay, I'm still not going to get that. But Eritrea. Okay. So
you can say Eritrea. Like Nipsey Hussle was half Eritrean.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I was born in Eritrea, but I came to America in the 80s. And then, you know my story, I joined the Army. But, man, I was listening to MAGA, man, and DJ Julio.
Mm-hmm.
So it went from extreme KKK to and I'm a soldier. Look, I've been to combat 6 times, and I see some things. So I'm just thinking like it went from that to moderate, right? So then let me correct something. I don't want to disrespect the brothers, you know. I don't know them, so maybe.
Okay.
But I just got my opinion too.
Sure.
So to hit on a few points that you brought up, and I'll take some notes prepared. I didn't want to come up here and
I like that. Give me what you got.
Yeah, I got some notes. So Stormy Daniels, if they don't move out of the USA, of course there'll be a witch hunt. We're talking about Donald Trump. There will be a witch hunt. Everything he does and says is destructive. Grab her by this. That doesn't even, as the commander in chief, that doesn't even go with our Army values. When that general left, General Milley, it's because the Army values are honor, integrity, personal courage, leadership, duty, respect, selfless service. If you don't, if your Army values are violated, cut sling load. You got to go because at this point you're supporting something that goes against your ideologies as a hero, right? That's one. Now, yeah, I mean, obviously, if Trump is in charge, what will happen is he won't directly attack them because that's political suicide. But behind the scenes, just like he did last time, come in, remove everyone, place everyone in cabinets, office, judges.
So let me make sure I get it clear. You do believe there's a reason to fear President Trump getting reelected?
Absolutely. Because because remember the Navy SEAL that he exonerated? We in the military, when your battle buddies, your buddies that are on the same team as you, say yes, you did it. That's a big deal because you're breaking the esprit de corps. When he exonerated that Navy SEAL for just shooting kids and adding, target numbers, that right there tells you what he's doing.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make. A lot of folks are not aware. You're right. If you're a part of the SEAL team, they have a brotherhood. So to get them to actually say, yes, one of us has broken the code and that person committed, basically major crimes like that, means that he really is guilty, that his own brothers were, and Trump pardoned the guy for. What had that guy did?
Especially if you're a senior, meaning you have charge within the team. So I was a Ranger bat here for Lewis, Washington, 2nd Ranger Battalion. It doesn't matter what race you are, we're so tight-knit, everything is handled within the circle. The only thing we can control was the Pat Tillman situation because that made it to Congress.
Yeah. I'm going to have to, hang on a second. Hold on a second. This call is coming in. Hello? Fuck, that thing is coming in over and over again. Okay. All right, let me get back to the program.
So I'm here to correct a few things.
Yeah, go ahead. I had an automated call that just kept coming over and over again. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a brotherhood, and that's extremely tight because my life is in your hands,
right? And
your life is in my hands. And for me to go against you, you really had to have some sort of hatred in your heart. And it's to the point where I'm like, hey, man, this is not what we stand for. So think about that. So if Trump's willing to exonerate someone like that, that's one point. Second point, granting the police immunity. There has to be a happy medium. So Trump is utilizing this as an election tactic as usual. We see all his tactics, build the wall, things that's never been completed. We get it. Everyone got to lie to get elected, right? But you got to understand what you're saying. And I come from a family where I have people that are cops. So you got to understand what that means.
But wait a minute. What about like my last both callers suggesting that, yeah, he promised to get the cops immunity, but it's going to be limitations on it, or they got to go through the IAB internal, they got to go through all these other protections, so it's not going to be that bad.
You give cops immunity, you're recreating the supremacy dream team. That's all you're doing.
You got to elaborate. What is the supremacy dream team? Explain that.
Because when you investigate every cop or organization, police organization in different states, usually what do you find? There's a certain typical person that they hire, and there's certain ones that they don't hire, right? They did an assessment of this, right? And there's an attrition rate. So when you study that, your fraternity examples, you ask yourself, how come there's more of this color as cops? And then when, like the guy said, he said a life for a life, right? And then he said, Julio said, before you play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right?
Right.
That needs to apply to cops too. So you're trying to tell me applied pressure versus blunt force trauma. So that day, George Floyd was supposed to die because it was written. Think about that. It was his destiny to die coming out that store because of fentanyl. He was just gonna die anyway. That's the theory they're giving you.
Yeah,
that's so false. Because you know what it did say? You know what the autopsy did say? And this is what I don't like about people coming here gaslighting, right? It said that he died from cardio, or was it cardiac arrest? Is that what he died from?
Asphyxiation.
Right, because in UFC, 5 seconds of someone going limp, everyone goes crazy, right? The referee didn't do his job. The referee didn't. Now imagine 9 minutes. 9 minutes, and you're trying to justify and say that he was on drugs, he's going to die anyways. This is what I call mild racism. Let's be honest. That's what that is. You put 9 minutes on my neck, and I'm fit. I go to the gym. You put 9 minutes of pressure on my neck, depending where you put it. You think I'm going to survive?
No, I don't. I mean, yeah, if you could put 9 minutes on somebody's leg and the leg wouldn't survive. I mean, the thing about it is, yeah, I won't go as far to say it's racism, but I haven't heard anybody black or Hispanic say something like that. So
these individuals lack empathy and humanity, because what's happening is you get a bunch of weirdos that sit behind a computer eating chips and talking nonsense and have never taken a life or have never been shot and don't understand the reality of it. That's the problem. They think it's a video game. We're talking about humans.
I hear what you're saying, but I kind of disagree. In my opinion, I think it's just blindly wanting to defend the cop, not giving a damn about George Floyd. You see Candace Owens, she for 2 seconds said Derek Chauvin was wrong, and the rest of her whole video was, bringing up everything from George Floyd did since 2004. It's just hatred of the guy. So yeah, they'll make any excuse possible to say he, either he deserved it or he died from some other. Anybody that's wrongfully killed by cops, particularly when it's a minority versus a white cop, people are going to find ways to say that minority probably got what he deserved.
So you don't see whites being hunted. You do see blacks being hunted, and that's a fact in America.
Hunted how?
I say hunted as in like trapping them with cars, and then he's running down the street and the other guy comes in front of him, stop boy, and shoots him. And George Floyd, Zimmerman, we go at each other all day, but Zimmerman's still alive.
Yeah.
Make that make sense. He's walking around and then he gets more money for killing someone. This is the society we live in, and it's sick. And you know what? The cops, there has to be like a bipartisan comprehensive program that can govern them, that tells them, here are your boundaries, this is what you can do. If you're a scary wimp now trying to be a man somehow.
Well, let me interrupt you, Captain E. That does exist. We just don't enforce it. All of that, what you're talking about, all of that does exist. We just, when the cops do wrong, there are people, there's a blue wall of silence and things like that. People do step up, but they're told not to do wrong. It's just for generations, they had very little accountability for when they actually did it. And that's why a lot of them are not comfortable being on the force anymore, because they know now if you fuck up, you're likely to be held accountable. They didn't used to have to worry about that.
So I'll give you an example. My cousin, someone came at him, right? At night. He's a cop in California. Excuse me. And the guy was white or whatever, but he was on drugs. But the guy had a gun. And my cousin, he's trying to like freeze, running, like moving away from him. He's finding ways not to kill this guy. He's finding ways, not to unalive this guy, right?
Okay.
He's finding ways to keep this individual alive without hurting him. But the guy has a gun. So I'm thinking, when he called me, he's like, hey, man, I took a life. I was like, phew, tough. Your first one, that's tough. Started shooting at him. He had no choice.
Right.
But he spent driving around trying to talk him down. Look, your life is worth this and that. He didn't come out. Bang, 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 bang. You know what I mean?
Well, and listen, I don't want to be on the side of defending the cop, but at the end of the day, the cop's life is in jeopardy as well. The more you try to prevent from taking that life, to some degree, the more you're putting your own life at risk. There's a video out now of an African-American airman, and thank you for your service, by the way, African-American airman who's opening the door with a gun in his hand, and folks are talking about how wrong the cop is. And listen, the cop was wrong because legally you can carry a gun in your hand in your house. However, how long does it take if you got a gun down by your side to actually aim it and shoot? I mean, so...
You got to assess. From your training, you got to assess if there's imminent danger or threat. I get it. But there are some that just come out shooting because, first of all, you can't get some dweeb nerd that's never been raised in L.A. to go into L.A. and police the streets. There's a huge difference. Now, the people that say, hey, I've always showed cops respect. They've showed me too. I've had guns in Arizona where I'm like, hands out. He's like, hey, what's up, brother? I'm like, how you doing, officer? He's like, show me your gun. I'm like, no, I'm going to get out and you can look at the gun yourself, right? My hands are right in front of you.
Yeah. I just want to say, I do got to move it on. I just want to say this. When it comes to cops, we all know that a lot of departments don't require a lot of education. A lot of departments don't provide a lot of training. A lot of departments give them an us against them mentality. And then, of course, racism is real in a lot of areas as well. So when you factor all that in, it shouldn't be surprising to anyone that a lot of bad shit is going to happen. I mean, lack of training, lack of education. You got people spooked because this group of people, you've been taught that they're all criminals. All kinds of bad things could happen. But I do got to move it on, Captain E.
Oh, lastly, I would like to say,
real quick,
let's just be. Why I like your show. First of all, everyone should follow you because I like this. I get to be me, right? Second of all,
thank you.
If people got to understand, supporting your show not only is it taps and likes and gifts because there's algorithms involved. Because I make content myself. We have to support people like it because we get to speak. We get to be heard. And then lastly, let's be real, guys. Like let's not come here and gaslight and try to play it safe because of race. No. Be honest. This is what's happening. If Trump is elected, some things will get fixed. But 80% will have a lot of issues we can't handle.
Wow.
That's it.
All right.
I'm not saying Biden's better, but I'm just saying I prefer Biden than Trump. Have a nice day. Handsome. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you. Come on back anytime. All right, moving on with the program. If you're a soldier, who you want making calls, Biden or Trump? Well, he went through the process of saying that if Trump is admitting that he's grabbing women and things like that, he does not even fit the integrity of the military. He also stated that if Trump is willing to pardon a Navy SEAL, that even brothers or fellow members of his own community, other Navy SEALs are saying committed basically murder. He doesn't want Trump on. I don't think you need really much more to hear to know that he preferred Biden over Trump. And I think he said it as well. Tap the screen, folks. Give me on up to 50,000. We are on the backup page, so it does affect the numbers always. We'd probably be 3 times as many folks here on TikTok. For my YouTubers, feel free to smash that like button. The rules of engagement are ridiculous, says Jordan Mills. In war or on the street, police versus citizen? What are you talking about? Joe Biden suffers from dementia. Sit down, says Kim Jong-un. Is that the father? Kim Jong-il? Kim Jong-un? Oh my God, we're talking to a North Korean dictator all of a sudden. Overturn TVO. What is TVO? Trump 2024, but no immunity for LEO. Enough. Okay, before we continue on with the next caller, what we're asking is, because Stormy Daniels, her husband, suggested that if Trump is acquitted, we're not even talking about reelected to president. If Trump is acquitted in this Alvin Bragg case, which we should know in a couple weeks probably. I mean, they're on Michael Cohen right now, and he's being he's under cross, so he's being hammered by Trump's team, the defense. So we should know in probably a couple weeks max. We should know whether Trump is innocent, guilty, or if it's a hung jury. Stormy Daniels' husband said if Trump is acquitted in this case, they're going to leave the United States. Now, obviously, nobody gives a damn about Stormy Daniels or her husband. But what I'm asking is, based on what they're saying, is there a legitimate reason to fear President Trump? That is what we're tackling. Is there a legitimate reason for folks in this country, particularly those who don't think like Trump, who do not think like MAGA, who do not support MAGA, the MAGA ideology? Is there a reason for those folks to be fearful of Trump getting reelected? What are we talking about? I mentioned earlier him suggesting he wanted to be a dictator on day one. Some folks say it's taken out of context, but he did say that. Giving police immunity. Wow! H2O. Thank you. The astronaut on the treadmill. Wow, that caught me off guard. Thank you. H2O. Largest deportation in U.S. history is something he's promising. I'm assuming we believe that no Americans will be harmed in that, even though we know a lot of Americans have befriended. And Julio with the underwater coral. Guys are showing some really good support today. Thank you. I like that. Appreciate it. Certainly for a smaller audience. Also, now, speaking of Julio, he favored when the looting starts, the shooting starts. That's a Trump quote. Julio did favor and what was the example we gave? If a bunch of kids go into a department store and they're all grabbing purses, he is okay and does condone shooting them to stop the looting, which is what Trump said. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. No mention of age, because a lot of these folks doing this are underage. They are minors. Could end up shooting a bunch of minors. It could happen. Let me go to the box. Real quick, I don't know what just happened there, but going to the box, we'll continue on with Sean Davis. Thank you guys for holding. Real original, he quoted Sinatra. Well, whatever the case may be, it is what it is. Let's see what happens here. Nice guy, even though we don't agree about everything. Fancy. Thank you. Good on you. The box is taking we're having some issues with the box today. I don't know why. Jordan Mills, Jesus is king. All is written. We simply read it. Fair enough. Christianity in schools. What do you say, Jordan Mills? Because that's what some are promoting, putting Christianity back in schools. Thank you for the elephant ears, Jen X. Always a friend of the show. Thank you. If guns made us safer, we should be the safest country in the world, says D in caps. True. And it basically points to the fact that guns don't make you safer. In my humble opinion, a gun is an armed populace is really a security blanket. It really is like a security blanket where if you hide under the blanket as a kid, you're hoping nobody sees you. And it makes you feel secure. But obviously, anybody coming in the room can see your ass hiding under a blanket. I do believe guns, to some degree, are a security blanket. I mean, there are times where you can use a gun to defend yourself. But clearly, America is not lower in crime compared to other countries that don't have guns. It is not making America safer. I mean, it's pretty easy for most Americans without a criminal record, even in liberal states, to get some form of a firearm. Maybe you can't get an AR with a drum. You can get a shotgun. You can get a pistol. If you just want a firearm, I'd say 99% of the places in America you can get it. It's very, very few places in America you can go where you can't get some type of a gun to defend yourself. In America, compared to other first world countries that do not have our gun rights, is a more dangerous country to be in. So no, guns are not making us safer. Looking in the comments, you should carry a peace when driving. You know, you're getting in Uber or Lyft, you damn right you should have a gun on you on every trip. Let me go back to the box. I don't know what happened with my last guest, but we'll go to the one and only Andy, asking, is there a reason to fear a re-election of Trump? Andy, good afternoon. What say you?
Absolutely. He's already said he's going on the revenge tour. And today, Matt Gaetz at court said, stand back and stand by. What the hell's up with that?
Wait, say that again?
Matt Gaetz in court said, after court said, stand back and stand by. That's what he was doing. So what does that mean?
That's a good point.
And why has he got the Alabama Brigade up there? He's got the dumbest people from Alabama up there talking for him. J.D. Vance and Tommy Tuberville, who don't even live here. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
The day before. Like, it's ridiculous. And look, they want to talk about how Joe Biden's interfering in the election. I don't see any Democrats down there. But I see half the Republican Party down there.
Yeah.
Sticking their finger on the weights of justice now, aren't they?
I do have an issue with folks who are supposed to be working for this country at the Trump trial sitting in on that. I mean, I agree with you. That's not what you were elected to do.
Well, especially since Alabama's AG, who was down there, needs to be looking at the Hyundai plant, who's hired 12-year-olds.
Yeah. But
he's got business.
But in regards to Trump getting back in office, what about him serving again? Do you really feel? I told you in a
roundabout way. Why are Congress down there putting the finger on those scales of justice? Because those sycophants will do anything he tells them to do. That's why.
Yeah. So do you think it's a case? Because some folks in support of Trump would say folks are just taking him out of context. Dictator on day one, giving the cops immunity, allowing women that are pregnant to be tracked and traced. They're just taking Trump out of context. He's not actually doing this stuff for real.
Oh, he's already doing it. That's what Kate Britt's motherhood plan is. It's just a way to track pregnant women. They're already doing it. They didn't pass the border bill, did they? The most comprehensive piece of border package in U.S. history. Why is it still sitting up there unpassed? Why is it they impeached Mayorkas for not acting on the border? But now they have the most comprehensive border package in U.S. history, and they're sitting on their hands?
Well, apparently Trump told him not to do it.
That's right.
That's pretty much what it is.
President, even when he's not president, he's a damn danger to the United States of America.
Then why do we have 74 million folks that believe he should be in office again? At least.
Well, that's right, but 74 million out of 330 million and versus 81 million is not enough.
Well,
and I know people that voted for him on 2020 who after Jan 6 ain't voting for him.
So you think his support is dropped?
In some regions, yeah. There are some reasonable Republicans who go, I can't do this.
I don't know. When you look at the polls, unless you don't believe the polls.
Yeah, you looked at those polls. That's what you told me. The last 3 times we had an election, you said, Andy, look at the polls. And I came back and said, Tim, a Democrat won.
That is true. That is true.
Well, what polls? Why are we still talking about those polls?
Well, I mean, but you
because the polls are tied to donations. They're not tied to landlines. They're tied to people willing to give on the spot. Like all Trumps are, all end up with, hey, give me $5.
So let me ask you this way: how certain, if you had to judge it on a percentage scale, from 0 to 100%, what percentage would you give the likelihood of Biden getting reelected?
70.
So Trump has about a 30% chance of winning.
Yeah, because I feel like can I explain what? I feel like that because of the misinformation and some of the things being told to the youth who don't understand foreign policy, that's Republicans aren't my fear.
It's just Trump.
No, it's the kids who are not wanting to vote for Biden. I don't fear Trump as a candidate anymore. Trump is losing support as we speak in that courtroom. I know Republicans are
You really think this case is hurting him?
Yeah. I know Republicans who were on the fence till this past week, and they're like not on the fence anymore.
What if he's
sorry?
What if he is acquitted or it's a hung jury? You think it still would hurt him?
They've heard the testimony. They don't care.
So you believe Republicans are believing Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen?
I know two are. I mean, I can't speak for all of them, but I know a couple.
Yeah, I don't think this case has hurt them, Andy, unless he is found
Best
guilty.
friend there used to be Republican. She's not anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. I think other than now, if he's found guilty, yeah, I do believe it's going to hurt him. And it wouldn't surprise me at this point, considering how bad he's treated the judge. It would not surprise me if the judge threw him in jail, even if only for a short time, because he's really treated the judge like shit in this case. So, but if he is acquitted or it's a hung jury, I think it'll help him out a lot because he's going to use it as a campaign speech.
Hold on, Tim. What did you vote in the last election?
Talking to me?
I voted for Donald Trump.
Okay, you hear that?
Yeah.
Who are you voting for in this election?
Not Donald Trump.
Why? Ask her why she changed her mind.
Because of the way that he has been acting and a lot of the things that he has been saying. I'm really worried about him getting in. Don't get me wrong. I think Donald Trump done some things that helped us when he was the president. But towards the end, it's like he wanted in there whether he wanted or not. And I just have a feeling if he gets in there, we're going to play hell getting him out.
So you do blame him. You do hold him accountable for January 6th.
To me, they have not proved without a doubt that he done every bit of it. I mean, I can sit here and tell a bunch of people, meet me down in Montgomery because we're going to do some shit. But it's up to the individual people
Okay.
to get out and do the stuff.
Well,
Those
but
who done it are accountable for doing it.
let me ask it to you this way. Who won the 2020 election?
Joe Biden did.
You feel confident of that?
I wish you could see the look on her face.
Yes.
She looked at the phone like, are you crazy? That's the way she looked at the phone.
Well, I gotta ask her.
My entire life. We've had difference in political, issues forever. But this is one time where we stand solid that Donald Trump is a disaster.
Well, your friend Gen X on YouTube said now that you got a friend on the phone, he wants 2 sandwiches. But
She ain't cooking him no sandwich. Bunny, the misogynist wants you to make him a sandwich.
So she all of the other.
What do you want?
Oh Lord, she's gonna poison him. I wouldn't eat that, Gen X. I'm just saying.
So let me ask your friend there. Would she had been okay with any of the other 9, the Viveks, the Ron DeSantis, the Chris Christie, Nikki Haley's? Would she have preferred one of them?
Did you hear that? Would you have voted for any of the Republicans? Nikki Haley, Ramaswamy, any of them? Would you have voted for them?
Truthfully, I don't know them. I haven't heard them speak. I haven't heard anything that they believe in.
Because Trump just like plasters the airwaves. Like in Alabama, Trump's all you hear.
Yeah, well, yeah, but there's plenty of. I mean, she doesn't watch a lot of politics. So there's plenty of avenues to hear.
She does.
Yeah.
She's just kind of over. Look, Republicans said an egg was a human, and she's got a granddaughter.
Well, yeah, but it's not. If you voted, she voted for
that
Trump.
Simple.
Yeah, but
it's not, Tim. It's not yet. It's that simple in the South.
But hold
She's
on,
got a
hang on.
granddaughter,
But here's the point, Andy. If you voted for Trump in 2020, and I get you don't like what happened with January 6th and all of that, but Trump actually stated before winning office that if he got elected, he was going to appoint young Supreme Court justices that were pro-life. He made it clear the goal was to roll back Roe v. Wade. So if I can't see somebody saying, well, I got a problem with Trump because of abortion rights. He told you he's going to do that.
Show me a young one.
Amy Coney Barrett.
You know what I mean, though. He actually made it clear his goal was to roll back Roe v. Wade. He said that before actually getting elected, that he was going to appoint pro-life justices.
She agrees with me on the fact they said that shit was settled law. You don't go up there and lie to get your job.
All right, fair enough. Like I said, the man, in my opinion, him, Roe v. Wade getting rolled back under Trump should not be a surprise to anybody. He made it clear that he was trying to do that. We knew already that Barack Obama had been cheated out of picks, so that's one. He got a chance to put in two other people. I mean, it was pretty obvious they were trying to do that.
Well, I mean, she and I, like I said, have always been politically different because she supports the military. She doesn't support a bunch of that other crap.
Okay.
And in the past, Republicans have sort of supported the military. So it is new to her that they do not. This is why she ain't cared. Because the minute they quit serving the military, and like when she saw the PACT Act, like we discussed this, it is wrong of Republicans to sit out there and complain like the soldiers lost on the 13th versus not saying nothing about the 66 lost under Donald Trump. They're very disingenuous. Yeah. You know, she and I have had long talks about this, and, you know, see, you didn't know you were getting a Republican and a Democrat today, did you?
I applaud that. Well, before I let her go, just last question I want to ask is.
She's already walked off, so you have to give her a minute.
Well, let me just ask you: do you think she's going to vote for Biden?
She is going to vote for Biden. She already said so.
Okay, all right. Appreciate you coming through, Andy. That's a shocker.
Like I said, there are Democrats, there are Republicans here who are just tired. Like, they wanted to believe their party, but their party proved to them they couldn't trust them. And that's not just her. That's other people in the state. It is, I mean, I know you get Clayton on here that goes, oh, we're all Republicans. No, we're all not.
All right. Appreciate you coming through. Come on back anytime. All right, moving the program on. Trump will bring us pizza, though. I don't know what that means. Yes, he did, and when he did it, everybody act like they're surprised. He told them what he was going. Yeah, Trump made it clear the goal was to roll back Roe v. Wade. I mean, and he deserves a lot of credit for doing that. I understand a lot of my audience, particularly on the left, don't like the fact that women no longer have the right to choose. I get it. But it is a huge accomplishment that Trump deserves credit for, at least from his own supporters, because that's what they wanted. I mean, there are things that the liberals want that they're having a hell of a time getting. If a liberal accomplishes it, he or she should get credit for it. Trump accomplished something that the right had been seeking for 50 years. He should get credit for that. It's a huge accomplishment, even though a lot of women are likely to suffer, if not die, because of it. But it is what it is. They already knew that, and they wanted it accomplished anyway. Looking in the comment section, two wings, same bird. The Democrats are framing Trump real deep, says Sabrina. Well, and Trump is framing the Democrats real deep. That's politics. I mean, folks are saying that if Biden gets elected, we're going to go to World War III. I mean, that's kind of what happens. 93% of abortions are for convenience, economic reasons. 6% or less are for health reasons, and 1% is rape and incest, says JG. I don't know the actual numbers and statistics on rape, and I see Andy in the comments is saying it's a lie. I'm a man. I don't like to speak on the subject, but if I had to guess, I think that's closer to the truth than not. And I'm just, like I said, I'm a man, so I'm going to admit ignorance on this, but I do believe what he said is closer to fact than 93% of abortions are for convenience, for instance. Is it 93% or is it 89? Is it 76? It's a high number, is the point. I definitely believe it's way over 50% of abortions are for convenience, economic reasons. I believe it's closer to the truth. Now, I'm pro-choice 100%, 1,000%. I am pro-choice. But the fact is a fact. I do believe the majority of abortions are indeed for convenience, economic reasons. Broke up with the baby's father. I don't have enough money. I got a new career. I can't be pregnant right now. I do believe it's mostly for that. 6% or less are for health reasons. 1% is rape or incest. Once again, I believe that's closer to the truth than not. I definitely believe very few, in terms of percentage on a 1 to 100% scale, very few are for rape or incest. I don't know if it's 1%, but I doubt if it's 10. I doubt if it's more than 10%. So like I said, I don't know the actual numbers, but I would guess that his numbers are closer to the truth than not. But I am pro-choice, even if it is for economic or convenience. I don't believe forcing somebody to be a parent is a good idea for the person or the child. And I don't buy into the notion that, well, people are going to adopt a kid. No, it's not. I mean, the foster homes are loaded with people now. There are a lot of kids that wait their entire childhood to get adopted and it don't happen. Now that's happening. Before the abortion bans, it was happening. So, Handsome, either you're pro-choice or you won't have an opinion. Don't ride the fence. I'm pro-choice. There's my opinion. You're saying either I'm pro-choice or I won't have. I'm pro-choice, 100%. Period. That's it. You can call it murder. You can call it killing of a fetus, an embryo. I am pro-choice. I don't care what terminology you use. I am pro-choice, period. So hopefully that clears that up. Looking in the comments. Yes, extreme shortages of good people to take kids. That's true, Pep. That is true. I don't think that, certainly when it comes to minority children, there's not a whole bunch of people waiting around to adopt minority children. The idea that they're all going to get adopted, that's just factually, patently false. Going back to the box, we'll continue on with Rel. Good afternoon, Relly. It divided the country even further, says Ms. Mobile. Yeah, the abortion, yeah, it's an accomplishment for Trump, but the division that came out of rolling back Roe v. Wade is tremendous, certainly with the women. Relly Rel, good afternoon.
Oh, man, good. Man, I definitely thank you for accepting my request. I'm sorry, something just came up. I'll come back on later if I can, man. I do apologize.
Anytime. Come on back.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. And in the comments, Gen Xer states, what I don't understand is how any Black American can support abortion when most babies aborted are Black. I'd be pissed if most were Italian. Well, look, at the end of the day, it's the mothers choosing whether or not they want to become parents. Okay, if more Black women choose not to become parents, it is their choice. Even if I'm a Black man, I'm not going to get upset with a woman choosing not to go through some shit I don't want to go through. I don't want a 10-pound baby coming out of my urethra. So it is what it is. Even though I agree with you, a lot of Black women have abortions, but I also support their right to choose. So I'm going to leave it at that. Looking in the comments. Hang on a second here. 60 million since Roe v. Wade. Let me just say this real quick. And I'm not speaking in regards to Gen Xer himself personally, but I'm saying you do hear the argument all the time of Margaret Sanger creating Planned Parenthood and, using it to take out Black babies or whatever the case may be. You hear a lot about Black babies being aborted. Rolling back Roe v. Wade is not being done as some kind of gift to the Black community. Let me just make that absolutely clear. If you're pro-life, you're pro-life. If you're pro-choice, you're pro-choice. Fair enough. But they are not rolling back abortion rights because they're trying to help out the Black community. There's nothing, it has nothing to do with that. Now, if you can point to the Black community and say you're losing babies to get the Black community on your side, fair enough, but the goal is not to save Black babies. That is not why it's being done. I can tell you that. Looking in the comments. Thank you, Handsome Crystal. Thank you. Going back to the box. Paul Douglas, welcome to the program. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy, for the years. Appreciate it. Paul Douglas, good afternoon.
Hello?
Hey, you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Is there a reason to fear Trump getting reelected?
I don't believe there is.
Okay. So, how do you feel about some of the things he's saying that is scaring people?
Well, I think one is I think he does run his mouth a little too much. I think that I think he's definitely not a politician, and I think he just doesn't understand that you have to watch how you talk. But then again, if you look at the politicians, they say all kinds of stuff and don't mean any of it.
Yeah. So let me.
They tell you they'll do this and they'll do that, and they don't do nothing.
But hang on. So when Trump says he'll be a dictator on day one, is there any reason to be concerned at all with him saying that?
I don't think he means a dictator like he's crap. I can't think of his name.
How do you know? How do you know he don't mean being a dictator like whoever? How do you know that?
Well, how do you know? Biden's going to do anything that he lies about. You don't. You just go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So at the end of the day, you're admitting you don't know. So there is a possibility that he could or he could not.
Well, there's a possibility Jesus Christ could come back today.
Yeah, but Biden isn't talking about being a dictator. You're going to put Biden. You think Biden is talking about being a dictator?
No, I think Biden's an idiot. I don't think Biden knows anything.
All right. So what about Trump promising to give the police immunity? Should people just ignore that?
I don't think when he says giving them immunity, personally, the way I don't think he means, they can just go out and kill people and it's okay. I think when he says that, personally, I think that he means they can actually do their job.
What part of their job can they not do now that if he gave them immunity they could do?
No, I mean, look at all the stuff that's going on in the world right now. And when I say that, I'm talking about people stealing, people raping, people, just all the crime that's going on.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to figure out what is the police unable to do now that immunity would give them the power to do?
Well, arrest people for doing things they ain't supposed to do.
Like what?
Well, going in and doing smash grabs on stores.
You're telling me right now, because Trump hasn't been elected yet, he hasn't given anybody immunity. You're saying right now the police cannot arrest people for doing smash grabs?
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, they have?
Yeah.
Did they do anything about all the ones burning down the cities?
No, but they didn't need, if they had a, I'm trying to find out where the immunity part come in. If you arrest somebody for...
Basically, the Democrats want to defund the police. Okay, and that's their opinion. Okay, I used to be a Democrat for years. I was a union worker for years. I voted nothing but Democrat for years.
Okay.
But they're just getting very. I think a lot of the stuff they're doing is stupid. And I think this country is falling apart very fast.
Let me say this. You said that you believe Democrats want to defund cities. Right now we have a Democratic Senate, a Democratic president, and we have plenty of Democratic mayors in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. Why haven't they defunded police? They have all the power to do it. If they want to defund police, why isn't it happening?
Well, I think they're getting sued for a lot of things, and I'm not saying that everything they do is right, because it's definitely not. There's a lot of bad cops out there.
Yeah, but that doesn't answer the question. They have the power right now to defund police. Why aren't they doing it?
Well, they've been talking about it for years.
But why aren't they doing it? They're in position to do it right now.
I think they are. I think we just don't know about a lot of it. Just like there's a lot of things that are going on that I don't believe that everybody knows about.
Is it possible that maybe they don't want to defund the police?
Maybe now that it's near election time, possibly.
Here's what I don't get. When I bring up things that Trump says, you don't necessarily take it at value, but you take defund the police at face value. Now.
Why would somebody even come up with that, though?
Come up with what? Being a dictator?
No, defunding the police with all the stuff that's going on in the world, all the bad stuff, and getting worse and worse, as time goes on. And why would you talk about defunding the police?
But then I could easily push back and say, with all the bad stuff going on in the world and throughout history, why would somebody talk about being a dictator?
Well, because everybody accuses them of being a dictator. And I'll be honest with you.
Because everybody accuses the liberals of hating police. You there?
I'm here. I'm waiting. I thought you were going to keep going.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so basically you're saying that because everybody's saying to defund the police.
They're not. They're not saying that. The right is making that up. Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden have come out publicly and said they never were for that. They are not saying that.
Okay, well.
Let me give it to you this way. Let me give it to you this way, Paul. What we talked about in the beginning of the conversation. If the liberals were in favor of defunding the police, they would be doing it. They're in a position. Out of the top 50 cities in America, well over half of them are liberal controlled. There's only 9 cities out of the top 50 that have Republican mayors. I believe one has an independent. I think that's San Antonio or something like that. But all of the other top 50 cities are controlled by Democrats. If they wanted to defund the police, it would be happening in Houston, Detroit, Newark. It would be happening. The reason you're not seeing it is because they don't want to do it.
Well, I know they don't. I know all these big cities are not reporting all the crimes that happen.
That ain't got nothing to do with defunding the police, though. If the cops were getting defunded, many of them getting laid off will be on YouTube telling you about it.
Well, I know a lot of places that are hiring police because they don't have enough.
But they ain't got nothing to do with it. Well, if they are hiring people, that means they have more funding. That means they get more money.
Well, they ain't hiring them, though. That's the thing.
But, Paul, you get my point. If the police are not being defunded, that is
I get your point.
Okay. All right.
I get your point.
Let me ask you another one.
Absolutely.
Trump was asked, could states track pregnant women to decide whether or not they're going to prosecute them or whatever if they have an abortion? And he said, you got to leave it up to the states. Is there a reason for pregnant women to fear Trump getting reelected when he's admitted he would have no problem with a state tracking them?
Well, I'll tell you what, I believe for certain reasons, I think women should definitely be allowed to have an abortion, especially if it involves them losing their life over giving birth. I believe if there's incest or rape involved, I think they should have the opportunity, if it's their choice, to have an abortion.
You're not covering the tracking part. You're not discussing the tracking part.
Well, the tracking part, I've never heard that.
What if it's true? What if
heard
it's
that.
true? Okay, you haven't heard it, but what if you actually heard that? Would that give women who are pregnant or considering having a baby a reason to fear Trump?
Well, let me ask you this. What are they tracking them for?
To make sure they don't have an abortion.
Well, I'll tell you, our government, they make laws, and a lot of times they don't think them all the way through. And when I say that, you know, it's just like this whole rolling back to Roe v. Wade or whatever it is. You know, there's certain circumstances that should be allowed.
What state are you from?
Well, I'm born and raised in California. I've been in Idaho for 4 years, thank God.
All right. So at the end of the day, should women who are considering having a baby be fearful of Trump, considering he is okay with states choosing whether or not to track him?
That could be a little personal.
Is that a yes?
Well, it depends, because, you know, if there's a lot of, this is my theory on it, okay?
You're having a difficult time with a yes or no question, though.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not having a difficult time. I'm trying to explain. I mean, there's reasons that I think it's wrong, and there's reasons I think it could be okay.
Let's start with the okay part. Give me reasons why it might be okay to track a woman that's pregnant.
Okay, well, I think the okay part would be for the simple fact that there's a lot of women out there that, you know, have a lot of sex, get pregnant, don't use protection, which men should use protection also. I'm not just blaming all on women, but being the fact that women are the ones get pregnant, I think they should be a little smarter on who they're sleeping with, why they're sleeping with them, and everything else. I think they should be allowed to have a one mistaker. If you make a mistake once,
you
okay,
said
that's one thing.
They should be allowed to have one mistake. Is that what you said?
I did. If a woman gets pregnant by mistake, I think, you know, hey, okay, there's your one shot. But I think if it's something that's going to happen all the time, I think that, yeah, maybe you should be tracked.
Wait. When you said one mistake, she's allowed to have one mistake. Who gets to judge Who gets to judge the definition? What is the definition of a mistake?
Well, to me, it's having unprotected sex and allowing yourself to get pregnant when you know that's a big possibility when you're having intercourse.
Okay, so she gets one mistake, and then after that, if it happens again, you force her to have the baby?
That or have your tubes tied.
Wow. Or be sterilized. Okay. So is it a legitimate reason for women to hear what you're saying and be scared as hell of somebody that votes like you based on what you're saying? Does that make sense?
They can be scared. They can be scared all they want. Just like I'm scared of Joe Biden become president again.
Joe Biden ain't gonna tie your tubes.
No, he ain't gonna tie my tubes. And he's not gonna take my guns away. And he's not gonna do any other thing that he wants to do to me personally. Because believe me, I go live in the mountains if I have to.
All right.
You know, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Have I done everything right in life? No. Have I made mistakes? Absolutely. Have I paid for them? Absolutely. But I'll be honest, I'm very afraid of what's happening. I mean, there's countries out there right now that are laughing at us.
But how do you, now you mentioned countries laughing at us. How do you think countries would view us if we were sterilizing women against their will? Tying their tubes, as you said.
I think women, if it happened a couple of times, I think women would stop getting pregnant when they don't want to be.
Because you're threatening to tie their tubes.
Well, it's.
How do you think, you mentioned laughing at Biden, how do you think other countries would view America if we were threatening to tie women's tubes?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't think it would be that big of a deal.
Really?
Especially if you don't live in this country. Why would you care? If you don't live here and you're not the one having to deal with that, I mean, it is what it is. And I'm not saying, my way is the right way.
Thank you for saying that. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I'm just saying that there's other ways to prevent women from just going out and getting pregnant. And when I say that, men are involved in that. Obviously, they don't get pregnant by themselves.
Yeah.
I
don't disagree. I don't disagree.
But I also believe that, just because a woman wants to have an abortion, what if the man wants to have the baby? What if he says, hey, I don't care if you want an abortion, I want to raise my child. So you have to give birth to that child so I can raise it. Should she have the right to tell the guy to go fly a kite? No, she shouldn't. Because that's his baby too.
All right. Fair enough. Appreciate you coming on, Paul. You are always welcome back. Good talk. Thank you.
Thank you. I love your show.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Moving on with the program. What do we say, folks? It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about uncensored free speech. Now, me and the last caller obviously didn't agree on much, but he's certainly welcome to state his point and state his case here. Wow, the comment section, even a lot of my MAGA guests were not, because I would just say this. I think there's a lot of folks who do agree with my last caller that obviously lean right, but would probably not favor him saying that out loud, at least not before the election. I do believe that. By the way, tap the screen. Get your boy on up to around 80,000 likes. Stop busting at random people message. An alter ego. Your point about my MAGA being my preferred guest, I saw that comment. Be nice. Looking in the comments. So Paul acknowledged he's a dumbass. Jesus, you guys are mean. Tap the screen. Get me on up to 80,000 on YouTube. Get the likes on up. Make that 50 happen. Smash that like button, the three dots in the top of your screen. Show your boy some love on the program. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without any concern of the host trying to block, ban, censor, or limit your speech, you are in the right place. Follow the program to my TikTok viewers. Feel free to drop a subscription on YouTube. Holiday says he is dangerous. Damn. He is numerous to Holiday. There's a lot of folks. If my last caller, if he was running for office and had that conversation on TV, there's a lot of people that would vote for him for that. There's a lot of folks who believe that women should be limited or prevented from having an abortion. I mean, Roe v. Wade got rolled back for a reason. There's a lot of callers, a lot of people that agree with my last caller. So that's not that far out, at least on the right. Going on to continue on with the program, Joe Biden is doing the best thing he can for gun sales, scaring you dumbs into buying up all that stock. Every liberal president does a lot for gun sales. I think under Obama, the price of an AR tripled because folks were believing the likes of Newt Gingrich talking about he's going to take away everybody's guns. All liberal presidents do very well for the same thing they thought Hillary Clinton was going to get elected. They didn't think Trump was going to win. Price of firearms and ammunition was shooting up. I mean, that's fear-mongering. I think gold is another one because they believe the liberals are going to destroy the country. So preppers start getting at their own thing. The dollar's going to be destroyed from the liberals. So they start investing in Bitcoin and all that other shit and gold and silver and precious metals. And then when it doesn't happen, They realize they've invested a lot of money and the price of gold and all that shit goes down, and a lot of them lose money in that stuff. A lot of them actually do lose money. Katie Britt proposed men pay child support at conception yesterday. Unfortunately, men still rule the country. So right now, and I know this is going to sound awful, but until that changes, the rules are going to favor men more than women. Men are not going to lose their Viagra. Women may lose their birth control. Men are not going to be forced to do things in childbirth that women are. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying it is what it is. And oddly enough, there's no shortage of women voting for this shit. I give a shout out to all my female MAGA. By the way, feel free to type me, M-E, in the comments if you are a female MAGA. Shout out to all my female Republicans. Type me in the comments for all my female MAGA. There's a lot of women that, strongly support President Trump. My sperm, my choice. I like that. MAGA me says, I can't pronounce that. Sailor Saint, MAGA me. Yeah, MAGA isn't a noun. It is. I make America great again. Sounds like a verb, sounds like a process, but MAGA, you can point to a group and say, those people over there, they are MAGA. MAGA is a noun now. They're all getting played and they don't care because they got their white privileges and Donald Trump makes them feel white powered. Damn, Eric Miranda. Wow, yikes. Liberals excited for Trump stuff to be over, but don't realize he's created a permanent MAGA movement. MAGA candidates will always exist now. I don't buy into that. I don't think there's a reason why Trump defeated all 9 of the other candidates, even though you could have probably, I'm talking to folks on the right, my beloved MAGA, you would have probably got the same policies out of them. Vivek Ramaswamy was not going to give you in America virtually any different than Trump. Ron DeSantis, you're going to get 90% of Trump's policies out of Ron DeSantis, yet Trump still trounced them. The MAGA movement without Trump will be greatly weakened. It's very similar to the Tea Party movement once Obama was gone. Where are they now? They disintegrated. And MAGA will do that because you're going to start having a lot of traditional Republicans stepping back up. And because there is no one, now MAGA is a strong movement. I'm not downplaying the strength of MAGA right now, but the issue is there's no leader, there's no second place person behind Trump that has anywhere near the adoration and support of President Trump. So if something happens to Trump, the next guy trying to lead the MAGA movement could easily find there's strong competition within the traditional Republican ranks. There is no traditional Republican that can compete with Trump. But if you put Vivek in there or Ron DeSantis or some of these other folks as MAGA or Don Jr., they could easily find somebody that could give them a lot of competition. So if Trump goes away, I do believe MAGA will be greatly weakened. Now, I will say this, though, which could really help MAGA, depends on how he goes away. If he goes away in victory, he serves 4 years or something else, but he goes away a winner, it will help the MAGA movement because he could then appoint somebody else to follow him up. If he goes away as a loser, let's say he loses in November, and he's pulling another January 6th, I won, they cheated, he's not going to have the same strength. So it depends on how Trump goes away, but it's really up to Trump. The legacy of MAGA is really up to Trump because he's going to likely pick his, his, not predecessor, but the guy that comes after him, successor. He's going to pick a successor. We'll see. I'll go back to the box. Gen Xer says MAGA will be its own party within 10 years. It will be the party of choice among the sane. Here's what I fear. We talk about, and I didn't get to this one, in regards to dictator on day one, largest deportation in history, tracking pregnant women, giving police immunity. One of the things I didn't get to is the issue, the suggestion that we may have a civil war. A lot of folks believe we could have that, some MAGA, some liberals. My stance on it is this. If Biden wins, I don't think you'd have a civil war. There will be some angry MAGA Maybe you have some uprisings, maybe some domestic acts of terrorism, but a full-blown war, no. If Trump wins, I think it may be a bit worse, but I still don't see an outright civil war taking place. I do believe a lot of liberal groups protesting and things like that could happen. Here's where I see a civil war or some major civil unrest taking place. Here's where I can see it happening. Trump wins in November and then proceeds to actually try to go after all of his perceived enemies, from the likes of Nancy Pelosi, members of the LGBT community, Black Lives Matter, maybe Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, literally using the system to go after all these different people that have huge fan bases at once. That's where I could see some major civil unrest taking place, is if Trump wins and goes after, and he has kind of alluded to potentially doing that. I mean, just imagine if he went after General Milley. And I've made a case for why that could happen. General Milley reached out to his Chinese counterpart before Trump left office and told him, if Trump orders us to do something stupid, you can be assured we won't follow the orders. What General Milley did is broke the chain of command, and Trump doesn't like him. Same thing with General Petraeus. Trump is not a fan of General Petraeus. Those folks have a lot of people who served and died under them. If Trump tries to go after one of them, he could fracture the military in half. So you got people like that out there that have huge fan bases that Trump perceives as an enemy. So in my opinion, that's where you have the greatest chance of a civil conflict breaking out, is as if Trump wins and then starts going after people for, fucking with him when he was in office. Start going after all these people. Maybe going after Dick Cheney for something during the Iraq War and having them tried, going after the Bush family, going after the Clintons, because he believes they're all criminals. If you got a loyal Senate and a loyal Congress, it could certainly happen. You got folks right now in New York. Wow, I haven't seen one of those in a while. Alter ego. Haven't seen a galaxy in a few weeks. Thank you. Thank you, Alter Ego. I appreciate the support. Right now in New York, you got several members of Congress showing up to support Trump. You think those folks would not also support him going after Bush or Dick Cheney or some of these other liberals, Nancy Pelosi? This is where you can get your civil unrest from. I do believe that's where it could happen. But we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get this fucking wild. But I do believe that's where it could happen. You start attacking a bunch of people with a huge fan base, meaning if you go at the General Milley or General Petraeus, for instance, you may have MPs in the military that are dereliction of duty or not willing to cooperate. We're not going to let the president order us to do this shit. Well, then now they got to get arrested or court-martialed. And this is where it happens. This is where it could happen. The feds being ordered to go after Nancy Pelosi or the Clintons and pushing back. So now he starts going after members of the FBI for not cooperating with a lawful order. And it just starts breaking, just literally fracturing the country in half. That's where I see it can happen. Is it possible Trump may actually go after his enemies in a manner I discussed? I'll leave that up to you. But that's where I see the greatest likelihood of a civil conflict. Hopefully it's wrong. Hopefully this is all just bullshit jargon, and it just doesn't happen. Hopefully. Look at it in the comments. Just thinking that Trump does not need power of this country a danger. Oh, just thinking that lets you know Trump does not need power of this country. Well, look, many folks would suggest what I'm talking about that could happen is bullshit. 0% chance. A lot of folks would disagree. I think, I don't want to see a president do this, but what I just described, I don't think it's a 0% chance that Trump would do that. I think it's a 0% chance that Biden would do that. I don't think it's a 0% chance of Trump. But let me look in the comments, though. Let me call. I'm not going to get 200 followers on here. I'm good. Don't like this app. Jordan Mills, sorry to hear that. $2.98 to $3.15 for gas. A little to the left trucker. I get the issue with the economy, inflation, gas prices. Those are a lot of legitimate reasons to go towards Trump. Alter ego, thank you. But let me just say this. I want $2 gas to return too. I want inflation to go down as well. I'd rather some of these wars end as well. But if I got to decide between that and a guy promising to be a dictator on day one, get a police immunity, start tracking the whereabouts of pregnant women, it doesn't make that an easy decision at all. I mean, $2 gas sounds great, but do I want some woman to be executed because she had an abortion? Or when the looting starts, the shooting starts, do I want them to go in the hood, the south side of Chicago where I'm from, and because people are looting, they all get unalived? I hate to use that word, fucking killed, murdered, because I wanted $2 gas? That ain't an easy decision to make. I think Trump would have did a lot better if he didn't make some of these statements on this pad I got here. And I haven't even talked about suspending the Constitution and all of the Ukrainians that would die if we would track help. I haven't even gotten to those. People are going to die. But I'll get $2 gas. I'll get $2 gas. All right, look it in the comments. Don't do bad shit to women. Have a respected relationship. Raise a child right. Fair enough. I can also tell you 2016 to 2020, my finances were great. 2020 to 2024, now it's so damn hard. That doesn't apply to everybody, but it's true for a lot of people. I get viewers all the time suggesting that under Trump, they did financially significantly better than they are now. Fair enough. But as I just stated, I would rather do a little bit less than grant immunity to the cops or to track a pregnant woman. I mean, I like $2 gas, but I don't want to know that some woman got pregnant, had an abortion, and now she's sitting on death row. There are priorities now. I mean, I get the economy. I understand that folks suggest it's the economy stupid. That is the most important aspect of voting. But he is saying some of this stuff, folks. There ain't nothing I've said here was ad-libbed or made up. This is stuff he's talking about. He's actually saying this stuff. And by the way, when Trump was elected and suggested he's going to put in young Supreme Court justices and he's going to roll back Roe v. Wade, the liberals were saying that Trump, if he gets elected, he's going to take away abortion rights. They were called fearmongers, liberal fearmongers. Now the liberals are talking about if he gets elected, he's going to be a dictator or he's going to track pregnant women. They're fear-mongering again. They're just fear-mongering again. That's what they're being told. You're doing it again. You were fear-mongering that he was going to take away abortion rights if he got his... You're fear-mongering again. Fair enough. I'm just simply saying this. This is what the man is saying. So that people he's telling you this. The only way you're fear-mongering is if he's lying to you. He is telling you he's going to give cops immunity. Is it fear-mongering to hold him to it? Going back to the box. I wish this was something liberals were making up. Then I would agree. You're fear-mongering. He said he's going to give the cops immunity. Is it wrong to... Okay, he said it. I'm going to echo it. Is it wrong for doing that? Going back to the box. Rel. I saw you in the comment section there, Relly. Good afternoon. It is fear-mongering when it's happening. That's the point. That's the point. I don't know. We were told that the liberal, when they went back to a law from, and I'm trying to bring up the box, so understand I am trying to bring up guests. The box is a little slow here. But when they went back to an abortion law in Arizona, back from the damn 1800s, it's been repealed now, but they temporarily went back to the 1800s. If you had said that the right was going to do that if Trump got elected, you would have definitely been called the liberal fearmonger, a fucking libtard. But then it happened. It actually took place. Who could you have ever convinced on the right or even on the left that if Trump gets elected, you're going to have states using laws from the 1800s, going back to them? Nobody would have believed that. But it happened. But it did happen. So at this point, do you feel confident? Whether we got Trump or Biden, do you feel confident now in America that we could never go back to any other law from the 1800s? We've actually had it happen now. Do you feel confident that that will never happen again? And if so, why? Why? Why would you feel confident? Let me try the box again. I don't know what the hell is going on. We'll try it with Miss Mo Better. I don't know what's going on with the box, though. Not even a lil since Steph at 3 a.m. Yeah, not even a lil. Allowing stated decisions. I'm assuming you're saying allowing the states' right. Yeah, but what if a state wants to re-invoke a law from the 1800s? Should they have the right to do that? I mean, the 1800s was, a different time period in America. What if a state wants to actually bring back a law from the 1800s? Should they be allowed to do that under a states' rights government? Looking in the comments, well, Roe v. Wade was never a law. Yeah, but you talk about executing people. All right. The rich and silver spoon don't see inflation. I don't know if that's true. I mean, if the price of gas goes up, it affects things being shipped. I mean, it affects everything. I'm assuming some rich do see it, but thanks to Trump, they're still enjoying the tax cut. So the rich, in my opinion, I've said it before, and I don't know what's happening with the box, but I've said it before. If you are wealthy and you want to keep your wealth, you don't want the government taxing you to take care of the downtrodden and poor. You want to keep every dollar you earn. You have no damn reason at all to vote for the Democrats. If that is your major concern, that's your biggest issue, keeping your money, you should vote Republican. I'll say that every day. I strongly believe if you got money and you don't want to be forced to share it or have, if you want as little taxes as possible, you should vote Republican. It is in your best interest. It absolutely is in your best interest. Trump won't reduce inflation. He has the same tools as Biden. Well, drilling, they're going to bring up tariffs. I mean, there's things he can do. We may not like it, but there's things that can be done to some degree. Can you elaborate on why you support Trump? Well, I lean left, but I don't think everything about Trump is bad. I don't despise the man, but I do lean left politically. If you believe in personal property rights and not socialism, communism, vote Republican. Personal property rights. The liberals don't believe that. Look, I'm with you on the belief of personal property rights. The issue with socialism and communism, vote Republican. The issue with capitalism is that if you do not add some socialist tenets to it, you won't like it. You imagine dialing 911 because your house getting broken into or whatever the case might be. Maybe it's a tornado when you're trapped in the basement or whatever the hell's going on. And the police itemize and charge you for every service they provided. They charge you down to how many cops came out, the gas they spent. That's capitalism. The reason they don't do that is because the socialist tenets of America guarantee you access to 911, even if you're completely broke. In a capitalist system, you only get what you can pay for. Nothing is free in a capitalist environment. So when you say, well, if you don't like capital socialism, Everybody likes a little bit of socialism. I can tell you that. Everybody does. Wait till you get old or you get disabled or some shit like that. Everybody, there's no country on earth that tries a 100% capitalist environment. It just doesn't work. It never will work. When did we start trusting Russia? Around 2015, I think, doing a Bill O'Reilly interview, somewhere around there. We don't get to decide what our taxes do. That's true. Let's try the box one more time. And I said, somebody said we're a hybrid nation. Thank God for that. But we are becoming less and less of a hybrid nation. We are trying to go closer to pure capitalism than we are the other way around. You are losing things you can't afford to pay for. It is going closer and closer to capitalism and less socialism. What two things could Trump do to make you vote for him? That's a great question, Gen X, and because it's a super chat, I gotta answer it. I always answer a super chat. Two things. Wow, it's probably gonna need to be more than two things. I guess number one, probably turn himself into a mime. You know, the guys that can't get out of the invisible glass wall. I think Trump would be far more favorable, for lack of a better word, far more favorable if he was a mime. I don't think the Democrats are bitching about $2 gas, bitching about a 3.5% unemployment rate or no global or less global conflicts. They're bitching about his mouth. His Twitter account. That's the number one thing. That the pandemic is another one, but that's not happening anymore. Number one is he needs to shut the hell up. If I could, you got all this merchandise under the Trump campaign. He sells all kinds of, one thing he should be selling, or somebody else that supports Trump, a t-shirt that says, shut up and legislate. Just do your damn job. Get rid of the rhetoric. Shut the fuck up and legislate. So that would be number one, is quit starting fights. Now, I get folks are going to suggest, well, people fuck with him too, so he has a right to defend himself. True. That is absolutely true. Just like if a woman smacks you as a man, you have a right to defend yourself. It might not go well in your favor, but you do have a right to do it. Point being, you don't have to show up to every fight you're invited to. And Trump likes to show up to every fight he's invited to. So just quit the antics. That would be number one. Number two would probably be this whole damn list. Promising immunity to cops, and it would be a lot. I think some of the things he said has really hurt him. Looking in the comment section, stop lying so damn much. Says widow, what does that say? Widow forever? Lying about what? People mess with Biden all day long and he doesn't get ruffled. Trump needs to take something. Yeah. Kanye West, after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, got on Saturday Night Live, said George W. Bush doesn't like black people. Even in George W. Bush's book, Decision Points, I got a copy of it at home, he talked about how awful he felt when Kanye West said George W. Bush doesn't like black people. And somebody would argue nowadays, Kanye West don't like black people. But this is back in 2005. And George W. Bush said he actually broke out in tears. But notice, as damning as what Kanye West said about George W. Bush, he didn't get on, well, we didn't have social media as the way we do now. But the internet existed. He could have wrote in, like what Trump did with the Central Park 5, a whole newspaper article bashing Kanye West. He could have got the message out. He didn't do it. If he had, he would have probably been ostracized from all of Kanye West's fans, which at that time were a lot of black people. I don't think that happens anymore. Things have changed a bit for Kanye, but at that time, he would have then been at odds with all of Kanye West's fan base. He didn't do that. Trump could learn a lot from being able to restrain himself. He could learn a lot from that, but I don't think he has. Social media was not acceptable like the news were. No, Bam Bam, it wasn't, but as I pointed out, President Trump, when he thought the Central Park 5 should be hung, he had no problem purchasing a full-page ad in the newspaper, like centerfold style. You open up the paper, and it's on both fucking sides. Bush could easily do that. Bush could have easily done that in a host of major newspaper outlets and bashed the hell out of Trump, or Kanye, rather. And if he had said that about Kanye, ABC, CBS, NBC would have picked it up. It would have been on Fox, which was out in 2005, and he could have did it. Could have got his message out. He didn't do it. Trump would have. Trump would have said something back. Looking in the comments, he took women's rights. How soon will he try to reinstate slavery? Damn. I don't think Trump's going to try to reinstate slavery. That's harsh. Packer, you really think he'll go that far? Wow. I don't think that's going to happen. Let me go back to the slavery. Flight 45. I don't think Trump has aspirations to bring back slavery.
Them like it.
Flight, good afternoon. Flight, are you there?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think? Is there a reason to fear Trump getting reelected?
No, not really.
Okay. How do you feel about some of the things we discussed here today that he said?
Well, like the thing about the women being tracked, I don't think that's going to pass constitutional muster. And he said the states would have to do it. It would get taken to the Supreme, and it would fail. There's no way it could pass.
So,
the dictator.
Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure he said he'd be a dictator for a day, on day one, not a dictator altogether. And what president doesn't? How many executive orders did Biden sign? How many did Obama sign? They're all dictators first day signing executive orders.
Okay. And police immunity?
Oh, that one's a hard one. I've got police in the family, and I think that was stupid.
But he is promising it.
Downright stupid. Well, I can't with that one.
What about when
I wouldn't want my brother-in-laws having that kind of power, let alone, and they're good guys, and I don't think they would do that. But you never know. Yeah. Somebody's got power. Absolute power corrupts.
Well, he is promising to give him that.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I can't. That's one that I just, I'd fight back on that one.
Largest deportation in U.S. history.
If they were illegal and they didn't ask for immunity, for asylum, and they haven't had a court date, I think if they've had a court date and they were told to leave and they didn't, and they were here illegally, still breaking the law being here, I get it. But if they're waiting for their court date, no.
Okay. Now, how do you feel about his stance on the Russian-Ukraine war? You think that it's okay to let the Ukrainians kind of fall by the wayside with Russia?
No.
He is promising it.
I think we should fund them enough to where they can hold them where they're at. I don't think you're going to get. Ukraine is not going to be battle hardened enough to push them back. They haven't been able to do it yet with what we gave them. The only way it's going to happen is if we train them like we did the people in Afghan that fell apart. Who's to say that Ukraine won't fall apart when we walk away from them? I think we ought to give them enough to hold them where they're at and say, okay, this is where we're going to draw our line. If you want to push more, we're coming in.
Okay. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. Are you okay with shooting folks who are taking TVs out of a Best Buy?
Not unless they're shooting at you.
So you don't agree with?
I think they should be stopped I do think they should be stopped and prosecuted. None of this, anything less than $900, we're going to let you go.
Right, but you don't believe
I
it.
I can get 15 guys go steal $500 and give them $100 a piece. Well, guess what? That's organized crime. They're just asking for it.
But you don't support when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
No, but I believe they should be stopped 100%.
So it sounds like, based on what you're saying, it sounds like Trump is actually to the right of you.
Yeah, last time we talked, we said that too.
Okay. All right.
And when you were talking about the Civil War thing starting, General Milley, what he did was a treason. He should be prosecuted for that.
Yeah, they're.
I believe the only way we're really going to get a civil war is if we don't have representation for being taxed. Just like the Tea Party back in the day. Heard a lot of people talking about getting rid of the electoral college and going to just a flat vote, person vote.
But you don't believe promising to give cops immunity or track women could cause any problems at all?
I think it will a little, but I don't think it's Civil War worthy.
Well, it depends on how far they go with it.
Right. That would depend on them individually and how far the people are going to allow it.
But so even though you say you don't know if it'll go that far, you do believe, though, it's taking us in the wrong direction.
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
All right.
But like I was saying with taking away the electoral college, and if you do that, you might as well take the Senate out of it, because then we're just a straight democracy and mob will rule. I think that will cause a civil war. I think that's your more likelihood than your scenario.
But here's the difference, though, Flight. The stuff you're talking about, getting rid of the electoral college, that's not coming from the leadership like the president in the Democratic Party.
It's just a lot of other creators have been talking about it.
Right.
And I just feel that I think we could try it one time, and then when
but hold on, hang on.
Flyover states don't go, it don't
work. But you admit.
We've been noticing that New York and California actually, and maybe one or two of the diehard blue states, they decide the election. I think that'll show that a vote for vote.
But wait, hold on, Flight. This getting rid of the electoral college is akin to saying the liberals are for defund the police. It is coming from underground people that have no power.
Right.
The stuff I'm telling you about is coming from Trump's mouth directly. It's a huge difference.
Right. But we have seen that there was a councilwoman in Minneapolis or somewhere up there that actually went ahead and they the council defunded the police, and made it where they couldn't do enough.
Yeah, but it's underground. Yeah,
when her neighborhood started getting a lot of crime, that council reversed it and wanted more police. And I think it was Portland or somewhere in Washington that they started talking about defunding the police, and they started taking some of their money away from them, and a lot of the upper police officers left. They wouldn't hire new ones, and them guys went to the surrounding areas to get jobs.
Okay.
Or left the state.
Yeah, but even still, when I say
hire anybody,
yeah, but when I say underground, you're talking about one town. When we say the Democrats want to, hold on, hang on. It should be a bunch of. If the Democrats are for defunding the police, we control most of the biggest cities in America. You should be naming towns like Houston and Chicago where it's happening, not some little town over here or there. It should be big cities. It's not happening.
Well, what about Chicago? didn't Lightfoot make it to where the police couldn't even foot chase people that were doing wrong?
That ain't defunding them.
Well, that's just tying their hands and tying their legs together and say, well, you can't even chase these people that are doing wrong.
Well, now that depends on what constitutes as doing. Like, for instance, if I'm jaywalking and the police say, come here, and I take off and run, and I have been jaywalking, are you okay with telling the police you don't have to chase that guy? It depends on what they did wrong.
Oh, yeah, with jaywalking,
yeah,
of course. But if there was something like this business was robbed and that person fits the description, well, you can't chase them. Isn't that what she done?
Well, I'm not.
The way I understood it when she was talking on her press conference, that was the way I took it.
Yeah, I'm not for sure, but that ain't defunding the police, because that's a different subject. That ain't defunding them.
Right, but it sure is kinship to it. I mean, if you're not letting them do their job, then you might as well just they might as well just stay in the police station and collect a paycheck.
I think some of that's coming from the harm that police often cause in some of these chases, though. Some of these chases can end up causing other folks during the course of the chase to lose their life. You there?
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of, have you seen stats on that? How many of them did that happen?
No, but I know a lot of police departments are no longer a fan of high-speed chases because they are dangerous.
No, I'm saying chasing on foot.
I mean, I get your point. I'm not disagreeing that you want to get criminals, but sometimes
that's like my cousin, who used to be an FBI agent. He told me that they were working on a tracking device that if they can get close enough to the vehicle, it'll shoot out of the hood of out of their police car.
I have seen those.
And it'll attach to it, and they can track them down.
Yeah, I have seen those.
They don't have to have that high-speed chase, and they just back off and they follow where the GPS tracker goes.
Yeah. I think the reason why...
I don't have a problem with that.
I think the reason why some of these departments are actually handicapping, as you put it, cops and not letting them do their job is because some of these cops have been very heavy-handed on their job. You know, they chase a person down and it comes with a beating or something like that. Some of these cops are heavy-handed and they're costing their towns millions of dollars in lawsuit settlements.
Yeah, I can somewhat see that.
Yeah.
But then you need to take care of that officer and get him out of there, not let him keep going and tie everybody else's hands that are doing their job.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. All right, Floyd, I do got to move it on, man. I appreciate it. Sound like you're driving over there.
I'm getting ready to back into my dock, and I got to get out of the truck, and I'll lose you anyway, so.
All right, good talk. Come on back. Looking in the comments, though, they have better, they have better, less lethal tech coming. Big J, I agree with that. Here's the issue I used to always say. You know, I used to watch Cops, America's Most Wanted as a kid. Cops chase somebody. Why were you running? I was scared. I'm like, bullshit. If you didn't do nothing wrong, you shouldn't be running from police. But as I got to be older, as I got to be an adult, I started noticing there are legitimate reasons for a completely innocent person to take off running from police. If you can watch television and you see what Black Lives Matter or these folks rioting and looting are doing, and it causes you to develop an opinion of, let's say, African Americans, or you can watch television and you see what immigrants are doing. Remember, they're allegedly rapists and murderers. If you can see crimes being committed by illegal immigrants, and it leads you to develop an opinion about illegal immigrants, why the hell would you expect people watching television, seeing all these things cops are doing, and not develop a negative opinion about police? There are a host of videos of cops doing wrong. We got way more cops on video doing things wrong than illegal immigrants. So I never could understand that. If you see folks rioting and looting, yelling Black Lives Matter, the whole group is demonized. They're all a bunch of fucking criminals. They're all looting and rioting. If you see a video of an illegal immigrant, like the one that took the life of the nursing student in Georgia, you're letting these folks in, they're all rapists and murderers. But if you see a cop on somebody's neck for 9 minutes and the person perishes, oh, it's just him. He's the bad guy. But the rest of the group is good. Do you see the bias? I'm not saying either is right or wrong, but it's like we're picking and choosing when to group people up. There's a lot of videos of bad cops out there. There's a lot of videos of black people doing bad things. There's a few of illegal immigrants right now. But what I'm saying is we're picking and choosing when it's okay to demonize a group of people. Just look at it like that. I don't think you'd ever see a bunch of folks breaking into a Target yelling Black Lives Matter and hear somebody respond, well, 99% of them are good. But they say that about the cops. They do say that about the cops. So I think that to some degree, the way we view some of this is biased in nature. Nevertheless, it is what it is. Looking in the comments, illegal immigration or illegal immigrants are causing a crime wave nobody wants to talk about. Crime wave? A crime wave, really? I think you're overstating it. I'm not saying illegal immigrants are all innocent, but a crime wave? Here's the issue I have with that. We're suggesting under Biden, 10 million illegals coming in this country, most of them through the southern area of Texas, some through California, some through New Mexico, some through Arizona. But overwhelmingly, if you listen to Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, they're coming in through his state. Brownsville, El Paso, Laredo, you name it, all those southern border cities. If the majority of these folks are rapists, murderers, and criminals, the towns that they enter America through, the ones I just named, all those cities from El Paso all the way over to Brownsville, those should be America's most violent cities. You live in Brownsville, Texas, and there are rapists and murderers entering through your town every day illegally. Your town should have a lot of rapes and murders taking place in it at the hands of illegals. The people in Brownsville aren't saying that. They're not saying that in Brownsville. In fact, when you look at America's most violent towns, none of the ones in southern Texas qualifies. It's Memphis, St. Louis, Chicago, places that are nowhere near the border. So something doesn't make 10 million of them. 10 million rapists and murderers during the Biden administration. So I'm going by right-wing numbers. I don't know if they're accurate, but I'm going by what the right is saying. 10 million folks came in this country while Biden was in office. And most of them consist of rapists and murderers, poisoning the blood of this nation. They're fucking vermin. They're coming in through the southern border, and yet these towns on the southern border are not inundated with rapes and murders. I don't know if it fits, folks. I just don't. There should be way more crime in southern Texas. You don't hear Governor Abbott talking about that. He's been busing them to Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, and places like that. He certainly talks about immigrants all the time. But he is not talking about how bad it is to live in Laredo because the immigrants are raping and murdering everybody. And he don't like them, and he's not saying that. Neither is Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, who also, to a lesser degree, bust a lot of them out. Actually used taxpayer money to put them on a plane to fly them up north. They're not talking about rapes and murders in their own states. And they get them all. I mean, are we to assume that the immigrants are so intelligent that they wait until they leave Texas to do it? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, though. A lot of them have been given court dates and victims have a right to privacy. Why it's not talked about? I don't think that if these folks are raping and murder, I don't think Abbott or Ron DeSantis would not be talking about that. The guy who murdered the nursing student down in Georgia, they ran that shit on a loop on Fox, OAN, and Newsmax for weeks. For weeks. If there were a lot of rapes and murder, the same thing with the 7 that beat up a cop in New York, all the time, it was ran constantly. If they're committing that much crime, you should only see a murder happening once until the next day it's another murder. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I'll tell you this. There are always murders on the news on the south side of Chicago, mostly by black people. If you watch the news tonight in Chicago, chances are you're going to hear about a shooting or a murder. If you watch the news tomorrow, they're not going to be talking about that one anymore because there's a new one. And the next day there's another one. That's what happens when a lot of people are being murdered and killed. They don't run the same one over and over and over again. You run the same one over and over again because there is not a new one. There's not enough immigrants raping and murdering people to even fill up a week newscast. I mean, five different ones. 10 million people coming in this country. You can't find 5 murders out of 10 million rapists and murderers? Monday through Friday, it should be at least one different murder every night. 10 million rapists and murderers. You can't find 5? You can't give me 5. They're all sworn to secrecy. They all are being protected. You can't come up with 5? Something doesn't measure up. Something doesn't measure up. I'm trying to point it out. If you want to believe that somehow the media is hiding millions of rapes and murderers in unison, hiding them so well that even Fox and OAN can't give you 5 of them. President Trump, who brings the families of immigrant victims on stage at rallies, he can't come up with 5. President Trump has ran a campaign of talking about how bad these people are for this country. He cannot even present to you 5 victims of illegal immigrants that were murdered in the last year. If you told him to name 5 murder victims of illegal immigrants that happened in 2024, he couldn't do it. 5. We got to be on day 150 of this year damn near by now. He couldn't give you 5. So that shows you I'm not defending somebody coming in this damn country illegally. Fact is, it shouldn't be 1. It shouldn't be 1 murder due to illegal immigrants. But that don't mean you blow it up and say they're all killing folks. It's just an over-exaggerated lie. It's just not true at all. And there's no evidence to support that it's anywhere near that bad. Let's say out of 10 million, 0.1% were rapists and murderers. You would have enough to have a story every night. Even if it was 0.1% out of 10 million, that would easily give you a nice, beautiful murder to discuss every night to promote the policies. You can't come up with 5 for a whole fucking week? Really? Call it what you want, folks. Anyhow, I do appreciate those who tuned into this with the issues we had with the TikTok. Had to reset the live. 105. I don't know how I achieved it. Certainly with this particular topic, I'm pretty sure I probably pissed off a few people here or there, but it's always a pleasure for those who have written the storm. Never the alter ego. Yeah! Alter ego. Thank you for all alter ego. You really support the program. I'm really honored. Thank you. Thank you. Make it worthwhile. And also the one and only DJ Julio as well. Thank you for only a few folks. You hear me naming them out. And I do appreciate that. And Gen Xer is another one. Lewis, Clyde. Yeah. All right. I appreciate that. And Lisa, Coat Jam. You know how we do it. Real quick, looking in the comments. If your kid was raped or murdered by one of the illegals, immigrants, would you still have the same view on them? I would want the person that harmed my child to face the full extent of the law. I wouldn't go out and blame all the rest of them, even if it was my own child. I would say we need to do something about the border. I lost a loved one. That's how I would feel. And I want this person who did this shit to damn near die if the law allows it. But I'm not going to just make up a story that is happening in the millions because I lost somebody. And I would be really distraught if something like that happened. I would be pissed that they were able to come in the country illegally. Like I said, one is too many. But that don't mean in your moment of anger or disgust at the president who is in office now that you just make up an exaggerated lie to make your point. The idea that most of them coming are rapists and murderers is a lie. There's no other, I mean, you would see it on TV every night. You would know far more about it. The idea that they're able to hide all of these rapes and murders is insane. It's no different than suggesting that the vax is continuing to kill millions and millions of people, and yet somehow the government is able to hide all of these bodies when 150 million people have been vaccinated. And they're able to hide all the bodies. There is a such thing as logic. There is a such thing as logic. That's how MAGA rose. Lies. Well, liberals lie too. I'm not going to say that there's not lying on the left, but the 10 million rapists and murderers, it's a lie. And I've said it before. If something happens to a rapist or murderer, nobody's going to give a damn. And if you put it in conjunction with the largest deportation in history from a dictator on day one who is just given the police immunity, I would not want to be an illegal under that environment. On day one, I wouldn't want to be. It to me, it's open season on illegals. I mean, after all, I wouldn't care. I just made a mistake and blocked somebody. Drusilla, or whoever that is, I got to figure out how the hell to unblock somebody. I was trying to scroll through the comments and I just accidentally blocked somebody. Damn. You heard about Mike Johnson. Who's Mike Johnson? I went on vacation in a tourist spot. I went to where normal civil is, and damn, yeah, President Obama was the biggest deporter of illegals in history. Trump will never win that. Well, it's also how you do it too, though. You can deport people by, when they're caught doing something wrong, or when you encounter them, you kick them out of the damn country, or you can go straight up Gestapo and start looking for them, send the G-men to people's houses and Frank style, and demand that they give you access to search the home. I heard somebody phoned in and said you got Hispanic-looking people in your house, and Section 8, whatever of the Constitution that's just been rewritten allows us, based on that complaint, to check your home. Step aside or have a seat on the couch. Period. And Frank style. That could happen. That could absolutely happen. I think there are plenty of people in this country that would support that type of a search, where they actually go out, not when they encounter an immigrant, but literally have the right to go out looking for them. Maybe park in unmarked cars at Home Depot. Maybe go rent hotel rooms and see who the maid is and demand ID. I mean, you can do it proactively. You don't have to react. Pull over an immigrant in a traffic stop and, okay, we found out you're illegal, you got to go. That's reactive. You can do it proactive. We're going to employ a few thousand agents, and their job is to go around, do stings, and find illegals. You can do it. That's how Gestapo did it. They did it proactively. We're going to find where these people are hiding out at. So it could be done either way. So you can deport peacefully or you can deport otherwise. Looking in the comments, it is infringing on the Fourth Amendment. Well, you could roll that back. You can temporarily you can make provisions to the Fourth Amendment. Just like you have Second Amendment rights, but they found a way to prevent you from owning a machine gun. You have Fourth Amendment rights, but if they believe you're housing an illegal resident, you don't have it under this case. There are ways to play games with those amendments. And there are certain governments that would easily be okay with doing that to get rid of these people. You're going to be on this evening, bro, maybe Gen X, maybe. How can that be infringing on your Fourth Amendment rights when they're illegal? Because they don't know if you have them. They don't, just like stop and frisk. It doesn't appear to be illegal if you find a gun on a felon. But you don't know that until you find a gun. Stop and frisk means that there are going to be a lot of innocent people stopped and checked for guns. We don't find a gun, or keep going on your way. Perfect example. Sheriff Joe Arpaio down in Arizona, who actually was pardoned by President Trump. Many of you are aware who Sheriff Joe Arpaio was or is. He gave his deputies the right to stop and frisk brown people because they were having an illegal immigration problem even back then. Anybody that looked like a certain type, you could stop them and demand they show paperwork to prove they're in the country. They don't have it, hand them over to ICE. A lot of people would be in favor of that. The only problem is there's a lot of people in Arizona that were born in Arizona that look the same. So now you're also stopping Americans and demanding they prove that they are an American. You wouldn't do it to me. You wouldn't do it to somebody white. But because he happens to be brown, he's being stopped and asked to demand he has paperwork. Now, Sheriff Joe Arpaio was arrested for that and tried and convicted. And he was about to be sentenced to prison for violating so many people's civil rights. And Trump pardoned him for doing it. But he was down in Arizona violating the civil rights of Hispanics and actually was found guilty of it and about to be sentenced to prison, and Trump pardoned him. Does that make you think that Trump might favor doing it in the future? I don't know. But he's already pardoned somebody who has already done it. So just understand that this is not based on rhetoric or hearsay. This happened. This happened. He pardoned a sheriff that was violating people's Fourth Amendment rights. And now he's talking about immunity. Is it possible that if he gives the police immunity, it might give them the power to do what he was okay with Sheriff Joe Arpaio doing? I don't know. But you got to look at it. When we talk about Trump, you always say take things into context. That happened. Now he's promising to give it immunity. Is there a context there? It's up to you how you judge that. Anyhow, folks, as always, you know this is a lunch break live. It's your boy Tim. 1 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday is when we're here. See you tomorrow. Thank you, folks, for tuning in on TikTok and YouTube as well. I don't like illegal immigration, and you're making conservatives look bad if you think it's okay to violate Fourth Amendment rights. Well, I'm just giving you what happened. Trump actually pardoned somebody who was about to go to prison for doing it. So my guess is, and I'm just speculating, but my guess is if Trump gets reelected, he would have no problem stopping and frisking to make sure you're here legally. I think most MAGA would support that. 10 million illegals, do what you got to do to get them out the country. I think most MAGA would support that. Anyhow, 1 p.m. Central. See you guys tomorrow. Catch it in.